This week on NWP, we're here to give you the business.
Come in and put your weary feet up. Come in and gently close the door. Our time will leave you intrigued and wanting more. Remove your clothes. Listen to those headphones. Take off your pants. Relax.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerds Without Pants, episode 171. We cover everything while bearing it all. I am Julian. I'm joined, as always, by Justin.
Julian, I have a favor to ask you.
Sure.
All right, my joints have been just all messed up recently. Okay, and I was wondering if it's not too much trouble. Could you bring me a trout? It would just really help my joints out. You know, they're in a lot of pain. I like to rub a trout on my joints. So if you could just bring me, a trout so that I could do that. I'm sorry it's such short notice, but if you could do that by the end of the episode, I would be extremely thankful. And, I will reward you with one friendship heart if you do so. So if you could just get that to me by the end of the show, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. I'll see what I can
All
do.
right.
I do think that considering that you're in Ohio and I'm in Texas, that's going to be a little hard to do by the end of the episode.
Well, it's short notice. I'm sorry, but I think you'll manage. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Now, I actually have a request of you, Justin.
Okay.
Because I've been looking at the state of the world lately, and, the environment is changing. There's a, disease out there that is quarantining people in their homes. It's really difficult to get supplies and food right now, and really delivery people are our only hope. Justin, I think in this election year, I need you and all of the listeners to support Samantha American Strand for president.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way that we can bring the country back together.
Right.
Yes.
As long as she promises to wear the cool mask for no reason, that'll work. I'll be fine with that.
Yeah.
Was that a spoiler?
That was weird. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, fuck it.
That one little bit might have been the weirdest thing in the whole game.
I still don't quite understand. That game's so fucking weird. Beat you over the head half the time. That's like the one thing they'd never get around to telling you why that happened. Anyway.
Yeah. Still love that game. I was actually thinking about, I know why I was thinking about it, because, great game giveaway winner for Death Stranding, Cheyenne, reminded me that, the PC version is available for pre-order, and so I owed him one from winning it last year because that's the format he wanted. And then I was thinking, oh man, I'm kind of ready to just jump back in and go build some highways and stuff.
I will never play that game again as long as I live, but unless for some extending circumstances happen, never again. But it was fine.
Yeah.
I hope they enjoy it more than I did, but
yeah. Well, I got before we jump into things, it is time, Justin, to give away a game.
Oh shit.
In the Great Game Giveaway.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and, this is me totally reaching into the Mega Buster on the night that we recorded, and very much not being done days after that, because that would be just completely unprofessional and immature of me. So the winner of Yoshi's Crafted World is Blaine Faya. Congratulations, Blaine. I will contact you when the episode comes out and send you that code. Congratulations. Put my hand into the Mega Buster of Destiny. I didn't actually do it, Justin. I'm just gonna, I forgot to do it. I'm gonna do it tomorrow at work because I'm going in on Saturday. I just needed your reaction to it so that I can actually do it, because then the listeners will be none the wiser.
That sounds good.
Yes.
We probably shouldn't have recorded that, but that's fine.
So yes, congratulations to the winner of the Great Game Giveaway.
Man, They are so lucky. I can't believe who won. It was amazing.
Yes. Also, very special thanks to friend of the show, Ryan Dennis, for providing that digital code for Yoshi's Crafted World. The Great Game Giveaway will be returning, but it's not going to be returning yet, because like I said, we're not going to do it every month anymore, because it's getting expensive. It'll probably come back next quarter. I'm going to kind of look and see what the next big game in the next quarter is going to be, and then figure it out there. There's definitely a lot of choices.
There's a lot of big games coming out pretty soon here, so
we'll figure it out. But I think that's all the preamble stuff. So why don't we take off our pants, relax, and jump on into the stage select?
Okay.
And now I turn things over to you, Justin, because this is your stage select.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, no, it is. I remember. I have memory of making this up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know from people what their favorite businesses, companies, corporations were within video games, like not like an EA or like an Activision or anything quite as evil as that, but I wanted to know like things within the video games, like I'm sure we'll talk about it here, but there's a lot of them. There is a lot of corporations and companies in video games. They are a common antagonist, or I don't think any of them are protagonists. Well, I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of them.
I mean, I got to really take umbrage to that, because as we know, corporations are people, Justin, and I think it's really shitty that an entire sect of an entire group of people has been so vilified in so many ways in media. It's just not right, Justin. It's just not right.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but I
wish I was.
Corporations are your friend, Julian. It's fine. I'm sure they'll never do anything to hurt us ever.
No, not at all.
Right. All right. Well, I guess I will start this off. So the first one I have here, and I have ranked these in absolutely no order because I couldn't be bothered to rank anything.
Starting off great with this stage select.
Oh, this is how I do these kind of stage selects. Like, I could rank. Well, no, I guess they are kind of ranked, but I'll get to it. Anyway, the first one I have is completely ridiculous, and it's one that I always remember because of how stupid it is. And it's from the video game Binary Domain. It is the Amada Corporation. Okay. So I have to start this off by reading this part of the wiki. All right. So it's about the founder, Yoji Amada. And this will give you a good idea of what the Amada Corporation is all about, because I know not a lot of people are very familiar with this game. So we have to talk about it. So Yoji Amada, he is a man known in the robotics industry for founding the Amada Corporation. He was credited for creating humanoid robots with advanced AI features at a young age, at 21. He used his profits to back a new political party called the New World Order, with, I'm guessing, Hulk Hogan and the Outsiders were involved, which eventually gained power and isolated Japan from the rest of the world. This backing resulted in numerous contracts to reconstruct Japan after the floods, because the global warming happened. That was a thing. He isolated himself from the world after he lost a court case where he accused the Bergen Corporation, which is the American version of this corporation in that video game. It's weird. Of stealing most of his patents. Amada is viewed with suspicion by the international community as the person behind the Hollow Children. Now, the Hollow Children, Julian, are robots that don't know they're robots. Or I don't know. It's never really clear if they know that they're robots or not, but they're robots that look like human beings, but are actually robots.
Okay, so they're Cylon sleeper agents.
Yes, and I guess their plan was, let's make a bunch of robots that look like people and just put them into society.
That never ends badly.
No, it was fine. Yeah, I'm sure it was fine.
The game's only half an hour long. It's actually really sweet.
Yeah, and everything was okay. Basically, but yeah, there was really not much else. That was his plan. Like, he was just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna make a bunch of robots that look like people, and I guess it worked. Kind of, because, like, okay, spoilers for Binary Domain, a game that nobody cares about, but you get to the end, and you, throughout the thing, you learn that the main character, what's his name? Dan Marshall, classic video game character, everybody knows about him. I don't need to tell most of you, but he used to beat up a robot, because his dad beat him up, so he would in turn beat up a robot to take out his aggression, and then at the end, he felt real bad about it. So I guess his Amada's plan ultimately worked. But I guess, like, his whole goal was to just make people accept robots as a form of life. So he gave them the ability to get pregnant, which leads to the half robot, half human hybrid that you later meet in the game. And I won't spoil who that is, because that's a big part of the game, that there's a half robot. Yeah, robots can get pregnant, apparently. I don't know.
Hey, it worked in Dragon Ball Z.
That game's so fucking dumb, but I just love that guy's plan. Like, there's no thought in it. He's just like, I don't know. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a bunch of people that look like people, but they're robots. And then eventually they get pregnant. And like, that's where the plan ends. Like, he was just gonna make a new race of people. And I don't know. It's fucking that game.
I mean, that's part of the reason that I kind of hate Blade Runner. Cause it's like, what's the purpose of it? Like, cause the second Blade Runner, it's like, they're identical to humans down to, like, the DNA. And it's like, so at that point, why? Yeah. Like, what was the purpose of that? Like, because you can't use them for anything because it's literally slavery. And like, maybe that's the whole point of Blade Runner. I don't know. I really don't like that movie.
I don't know either. Like, I think if you're going to make robots that look like humans, you should make them look like Nier Automata girls or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because that, I mean, let's face it. That's the purpose they're going to fulfill.
Right. I don't know, man. It's just so stupid. Like, then he has, like, a bunch of, like, a big army of robots that hides, that you have to fight your way through, because, I don't know, he doesn't want you to get there for some reason, but then he kind of wants you to get there so that he can reveal his master plan to you. And okay, you know what? Fuck it. We have to spoil it now. Okay, listen. There's a person on your team who is the child of the half robot, half human hybrid, and everybody on your team is really fucking racist about it. It's really kind of funny because they're just like, "Oh man, who cares about her? She was a robot the whole time," and you're like, "Wait, what?" Like, no, everybody's real mean about it. It's a whole thing. And then there's a French guy who's also a robot, but he's very clearly a robot, and he's the best character in the game. I forget his name, but it's very French. Yeah, that game's real dumb, but I just fucking love that. I just love that idea.
I wanted to play that one so badly. I hate that I bought it on PlayStation 3 instead of Xbox 360 because it's a lot easier to play Xbox 360 games than it is to play PlayStation 3 games because I really don't feel like hooking up my PlayStation 3, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, I don't blame you. And you're really not missing much. Like, that game's whole gimmick was to have voice commands to help you command your squad to give them, like, orders and stuff. But it's basically useless because I think another game had this problem as well, but the way it worked was, so it's a Japanese-made game. So what you have to do to get the voice commands to fire is you have to do everything in a very racist Japanese accent to get it to work. Like, instead of saying fire, you have to say fire or whatever. You have to say it like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
that's how you have to do it because that's how they recorded the English voice lines for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a real thing that they kind of didn't think out, but true story. And I just, like I said, I always remember that corporation because of how stupid they are. So that's my first pick.
No, that's good. I kind of did these. I mean, it's not really like I did rank them, but really it's more of like in order that I thought of them. And so this one really should have been number one. And I can't believe that it wasn't. And the only reason that I've clued into it, and I really don't know what I was thinking about. Like when I say it, you're going to be like, wow, Julian, are you okay? Are you having a stroke? Because, Joe Step or Super Step on Pixelbit, listed it as like, oh, right. Like, why didn't I think of that? It's the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil.
I will fully admit that was on my list as well. Yeah.
I don't know how I didn't think about it because Resident Evil is one of my favorite series. And I mean, when you think Evil Corporation, I mean, it really comes down to like two, maybe three really huge ones that are going to be like on almost everybody's list. Although I think just skimming through our submissions, we didn't actually get a lot of them. And I wonder if it's because a lot of people didn't want to be obvious. We'll definitely get to talk about them.
There's a lot of them that are like so like big and obvious. Like Umbrella is a big one. Like they're huge. Like even like I said, I think I had them actually listed as number one, and I have backups just in case this happened because they were so obvious. But they're the epitome of big evil corporation. I love how stupid Umbrella is. They're another one that like I get their plan, but it's real fucking stupid.
Well, the actual plan is not bad. Like the idea of creating bioorganic weapons that can be used, like, you know, because basically like for military applications, like mutating some dogs and stuff and creating like things like hunters to go kill, like that's not a bad thing. Well, it's a bad thing. It's not a bad idea if you want to like appeal to the military industrial complex. The problem lies in the fact that the same thing that allows them to create those things has that unfortunate side effect of creating zombies.
Right.
That's where things go a little off the rails. Because they didn't set out to create zombies.
Yeah, well, see, that was only half their plan, though. Their actual plan, when I researched them, because I wanted to know more, and there is a lot of things about Umbrella. Umbrella did a lot of weird shit. There is some deep, deep lore there. To the point where I was like, okay, I fucking get it. They were really evil. Their actual plan was hidden within like the major like three executives or whatever. I have them written down and I need to read their names. So in 1968, it was founded by Lord Oswell E. Spencer and his associates James Marcus and Edward Ashford, following their discovery of the progenitor virus in Africa, that's Resident Evil 5. Basically, their actual plan was to create, and hear me out here because I'm sensing a theme with a lot of these corporations that are evil, was to create a big super race of humanity that would, they would eventually become the gods of. So that was what the whole Wesker project was about. They were going to make a big super race that was like an evolution of humanity. That's why they kept making all these viruses and stuff like that.
Oh, I don't like that. See,
this
is my issue because like I love Resident Evil 1 lore. Like I that's one of my favorite games of all time. Yep. The more games they add to the series, the less I love the actual backstory of Resident Evil because they just keep trying to bolt things on.
They convoluted a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I've talked about this on the show, but like I loved the Resident Evil novelizations. They were all written by the same author.
Yeah.
And they're really good. But by the time she does her novelization for Resident Evil 0, there's actually a forward where she's like, look, guys, they keep adding stuff to this story and I can't be responsible if there's like basically inconsistencies between the books that I've written because I'm trying to have to go back and basically patch what I've already written, because that's what Capcom's been doing for years. And it's also why, that's one of my problems with like prequels, but Umbrella, I mean, it's a cool name. It's a really fucking cool logo.
Yeah.
Like I like all of their imagery, like their iconography. Iconography. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
I can speak words. All of that's really good. Like I still, even like on the PS1, like logging into like that Umbrella computer, and like typing in like passwords in the lab, like it's just so cool because the way that like the actual like Umbrella OS opens up and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like it's really neat stuff. I really like the way they've been trying to kind of smooth out the story with these remakes, but there's also probably some stuff that they've added later on that they can kind of just let go and just like kind of restructure. But we'll talk more about remakes later.
Yeah. I also like their knack for just making almost the same layout of mansion for all of their things. Like, it's always you walk in and there's the big double staircase that goes up. It's always the same exact layout.
I mean, that's mansions
every time. No, that's not.
Justin's like, no, I've been to many mansions, Julian. They're not all like that.
I've lived in many a mansion, Julian. I'm very rich. That's not true. But no. Like, they just made the same fucking, like, he was just like, I have an idea for a design I'm very happy with, and I just want everybody to live in this type of mansion. And I also love their, like, they just need to put puzzles to open doors. Like, I can only imagine working there.
That part I actually do legit love the lore of, because there is explanations for it. At least in the case of the Spencer mansion, Spencer was very paranoid.
Right.
And so he actually built that stuff into his mansion. And then that paranoia kind of like, cause you know, like leadership, no matter what, like it ends up trickling down to the subordinates. So his mania kind of started to infect other people within Umbrella Corporation. So that's why, even though Ashford is a completely different person, like when you go to his mansion in Code Veronica, he's kind of the same type of weird, because it's just kind of like, oh, right, like everybody's after us because we discovered this stuff and we need to protect it at all costs.
Right.
So like I need to have this like jeweled, I don't even remember what, it's been a while since I played Code Veronica, but yeah, we need to have like these like chess pieces that go into these, keyholes and blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
I love that shit.
Yeah, and also I love how all the bad guys' plans involve injecting themselves with their own virus. Like, that's their master plan, is like, oh, you think you got the better of me, but you fell right into my trap. And then there's no way back from it either. How are they going to get cured of this thing? They're not. It's just, I'm going to be. Also, their viruses are amazing because they completely ignore the law of conservation of mass completely. Like, there is nothing of that sort. Like, you just gain mass. Like, that's amazing. Like, you gain mass from nothing. Suddenly you have a giant eyeball for a shoulder. What it's made of, don't fucking worry about it. Stop asking questions. It's fine.
Dude, you can't ask questions like that, because otherwise all anime falls in on itself.
That's very true. You're right. Oh, you're right. But yeah, they're fucking amazing. I love Umbrella. Let's not talk about Neo Umbrella. That was stupid.
I don't even know what that is. I skipped 5 and 6 and 7.
Oh, yeah, 6. That was from 6. Oh, yeah. God. 6 is a really bad game. I've been watching it. Anyway, my next pick that I have here is I like it a lot. I picked the from Tekken, the Tekken series, the Mishima Zaibatsu.
God damn you! That was my second one.
It's gonna be a quick stage select. We picked all the same shit. Man, they're so fucking good though, man. How can you not pick them? They fucking so Mishima Zaibatsu. That roughly translates.
Mine, I didn't actually research, so let me just go off, because I know you got some other stuff. So I don't know shit about what Mishima Zaibatsu does. Mm-hmm. I haven't really paid attention to the Tekken story since 3, right? Okay. Really, I just know that they're a corporation. They got a lot of money. They've got their hands on a lot of pies. My whole point, or my whole reasoning for putting them on my list, is their CEO, Heihachi Mishima, is in his 70s, but he's got this hairdo that could cut through cheese. Yes. It's just the sharpest hairdo you've ever seen.
Absolutely.
He's jacked in a way that he can break a 22-year-old in half with not even flinching, right? You know that he can still fuck. He can still he doesn't have to worry about Viagra or anything. He's just ready to go all the time.
Right.
And then lastly, when you've outlived your usefulness in the company, he throws you in a volcano. And I think that that's probably the way that all CEOs should end.
Wouldn't it be a much better place, the world, if that's how all CEOs ended? We just toss them in a volcano.
You toss them in a volcano, and then their money is redistributed among the rest of the company.
Right, there you go. I like it. I like this plan a lot. So yeah, let me explain in detail what the Mishima Zaibatsu is all about, because I had to know myself. So they were that name roughly translates to the Mishima Financial Group. Apparently that's what Zaibatsu means. Now you all know as well as I do. But it was originally founded by Jinpachi Mishima, and then that's basically Heihachi's dad.
Oh, dude, why isn't Jinpachi in the game yet?
He was in a game.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, he was a boss in one of the later ones. I can't remember exactly which, but I know he was in one of the games. Because he came back because of, I think, the devil gene or something weird. I could have that completely wrong, but I know he came back at some point. But anyway, Heihachi coup d'etat that motherfucker, and
Did he throw him in a volcano?
I don't think he threw him in a volcano. I don't know. No. He may have just thrown him off a cliff, which, they all crawl back up the cliff.
Right.
That's what they do.
Hence the volcanoes.
Right. Heihachi ran that shit for 40 years, though. So let's see. The companies within it, it's actually like a conglomerate type deal. They have the Mishima Financial Group. They have the Tekken Force, which is, just an army thing. And they have Mishima Industries. I don't know what they make, but they make things. They own...
they make jacks. That's where all the jacks come from. I'm wrong.
We'll get to that. I think they do make some of them. They make one of the later models of it, but I'm not sure which one. Anyway, they have a school, apparently. I don't know. It's called Mishima Polytechnical. I found that interesting, so I wrote it down. But their whole main deal is they are the host of the Iron Fist tournament, which is, the whole Tekken thing. And if you win the tournament, you become the CEO of Mishima Zaibatsu. You become the new head of that company. That's why you get the prize money, of course, but you are also the head of Mishima Zaibatsu now. You run the whole thing.
Dude, I did not know that was the purpose of the King of the Iron Fist tournament.
That is the purpose.
And now that I know that, I need to have someone create a comic book where Kuma becomes the leader of Mishima Zaibatsu.
The fucking balls of that shit to be like, hey, if you win, that's another thing. I wish all corporations worked like that. They just held yearly or semi-annually, however you want to do it, tournaments just to determine their CEO. So we had all these hardcore martial arts people in charge of companies for no reason. I think it would go fine.
It would be a lot more interesting.
I would now like to list some of the rivals of the company. So you have the G Corporation. I don't remember what their deal was, but I remember hearing that name. That you have the Rochefort Enterprises. The Manji Ninja Clan are rivals with the Mishima Zaibatsu. The Soviet Union and Russia, they're rivals with them because the Zaibatsu did a bunch of shit to fuck their stuff up with covert ops and stuff. Japan hates them. They're big rivals with Japan. Japan revokes the citizenship of every CEO, apparently. That was a pretty interesting little tidbit I learned. The United Nations hates them because of their crimes against the world. And of course, the big one, now it is in an alternate timeline, but still, I think it's worth noting, a big rival of Shadaloo, from Street Fighter, of course. Less said about that, I guess, the better, but... They also, if you play Project Cross Zone, they come to blows with the corporation from, is it Virtua Fighter? I think there's there was a corporation in Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, whoever creates Dural, the last boss of Virtua Fighter, they're at war as well. So
right, yeah. But anyway,
also special honorable mention to Shadaloo, which almost made my list because I just feel that Shadaloo is a little bit harder to nail down, especially because a lot of people we can't even agree on the name because a lot of people will say Shadow Law or Shadaloo or Shadaloo.
Right. They're also I looked at them more as a terrorist group.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like,
And also, I've lost all respect for them since they added Fang.
yeah, Fang is kind of not great.
Yeah.
He's kind of an annoying character. But anyway, Mishima Zaibatsu, they're fucking great.
That's fantastic. I can't believe we both picked them for number 2.
Hell yeah, this shit's awesome.
I was like, there's no way Justin's picking this one, but he's going to love it.
Oh, of course I'm picking the fucking Mishima Zaibatsu. Are you crazy? I fucking love those guys. Heihachi's amazing.
All right, well, that just leaves me to leave my number 1, which was when we were recording the last episode, I said I had my number 1 locked in, like, right after you said it. And I think it was pretty, I thought this was the reason that you picked it, just because you'd played them already, just recently, but it's the Ultor Corporation. And my reasoning is that they're such an evil corporation that they've done evil deeds in 2 franchises.
I was just gonna say, which Ultor are we talking about here?
Yes.
Because they're in a couple video games. Yes.
Yeah. So they're in the Saints Row universe, just as like your typical, like, I don't even know. They never really come into the foreground, if I remember correctly. They're just kind of like mentioned, right? Like, or at least in the 2 games that I've played, 3 and 4.
In Saints Row,
yeah.
The big game for Ultor, that whole storyline is in 2.
Right. Okay. And I haven't played that one.
Yeah, they're basically. So it comes up in 4 when you do the one guy Bernard King's missions, because that was his whole deal. He was the guy from that like ran Ultor and had the Vice Kings backing Ultor up or whatever.
Okay.
So that's how that all ties in.
Yeah.
They were the
Yeah, so in our time period, like, they're just an evil corporation, like every evil corporation. But fast forward 100 years or so into the future, and they are much more of an evil, more evil, but really more of a ruling class that actually is, they don't enslave people on Mars, but basically, like, the way that they run mining operations on Mars, you may as well be a slave. And that is for the Red Faction series, of course, which dates back all the way to the PlayStation 2. And I thought that was so awesome when I was playing Saints Row the Third, I think, and there was like a mention of Ultor, and I was like, that is really cool. And I had no idea that they'd already been in the series before that.
Yeah.
Because they're both made by Volition, who was under THQ.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, not a lot to say about them. I just think it's really cool that they caused trouble for 2 completely different franchises.
Yeah, they were, that was the whole deal in 2. Like I said, Bernard King ran the Vice Kings and got Ultor, and that's why that usually, like, everything Ultor branded is associated with the Saints, because eventually you take over Ultor. I believe that's how that worked. I don't remember the ending of Saints Row 2, but I think it involved you taking over as with the Saints. That's usually how all those games end at some point. You run everything now.
Oh, dude, what if the final boss of the next Red Faction game was Johnny Gat?
That would be good, because I really don't like him that much, so he would make a better bad guy than an actual good guy. I would be more into that. Yeah, I don't like Johnny Gat. That's the one character in that game I'm like, I wish he would go away. Like,
I like Johnny Gat because his voice actor is one of the characters from Lost. It's one of the actors from Lost.
Yeah,
and I'm like, hey!
Yeah, his voice actor's not bad. Oh God, isn't it the same guy that does one of his? I don't know Lost people. Never mind. So I'm gonna make up a number 1 now. Off the top of my head. Well, not off the top of my head. This was kind of my backup. But it is definitely something that somebody else picked, but I'm gonna pick it again because it's pretty good. And that's Vault-Tec from Fallout.
Okay, I thought for sure you were gonna say Shinra.
Oh, Shinra's also a good one too. I could go Shinra too. Because
I've got some shit to say about Shinra, but we'll definitely get to it because someone does pick them at some point.
I was going to say we'll talk more about Shinra a little bit. But yeah, I like Vault-Tec a lot. And I would pick them, I think, over Shinra because they're another one that I'm not sure their plan, but then again, it's never really revealed what their ultimate plan was. They're just extremely weird and interesting. Like, so they're like a government contracted company that like made all the vaults for the Fallout series, which is basically like every Fallout, you start out in a vault because bombs go off or whatever, and now like the vaults become their own little communities. But then like when you go out into the world and you find like an actual vault, like Vault Tech does some crazy fucking bullshit experiments to people inside of the vaults, which is like makes it really interesting. Like the one that immediately comes to mind is the one where they is from 4 actually. And they had, and I know there's way more memorable ones in this, but I'm just going off the top of my head here. Before, they had one where they just put everyone that was into the vault had to be addicted to drugs. They would only admit people that were addicted to drugs in there to like test out if they could make them turn clean and stuff. And they had like a whole like new technology that would make people get off of drugs and so on and so forth. But like, it doesn't end well. As normally it doesn't. Like eventually, that's usually the story of every vault is at some point somebody goes crazy or things go bad and everybody ends up killing each other or they're still around or they just like made their own community or that's usually the story of the vaults. Like there's Vault 88, which is also in 4. I think it's 88, or 81. Ah, shit, I forgot. But whichever, there's a vault in Fallout 4 that like they're still alive, but they basically like were like making everybody sick somehow, and they put like a robot Curie in to make like a vaccine for it, but everybody was still getting sick. It was supposed to end like everybody eventually dies off in this vault because fuck them. But somehow, but like through the heroics of somebody, they sealed off the whole thing. And I can't remember the exact story, but it's weird. You get it. They do weird experiments. Like sometimes they don't go well. They don't ever go well. And usually like it's fun to go into one and just like slowly read through terminals as to what exactly took place there. It's really cool. I always like that. It's usually when you get to like the overseer, which is like the leader of each vault or whatever, like you figure out what was actually happening in the fucked up experiment that they did in this vault, because there's always one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think they're cool. And their like true like motive as to why they were doing all these experiments hasn't yet been explained that I know of. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but I don't think it has been. And that's kind of what intrigues me about them is I want a game in the Fallout series where like we actually get to know what the hell was going on in like the headquarters type deal, like what their actual plan is or was, or if they're even still around. Because sometimes you meet Vault Tech representatives that are actually ghouls and are still alive. Because, and it's interesting. But I always found them pretty interesting, and I love their color scheme of the blue and yellow. It's iconic.
Yeah,
and I made the stupid Pip-Boy, which is magically still works, and you can play video games on it, so that's cool. But yeah,
I don't know much, about Vault Tech from the little that I've played of the games, but I like the aesthetic a lot, and I didn't realize about the stuff that they did, like, while people are in the vaults, because I was like, oh, they're actually more of a benevolent corporation, because, their whole thing is like, oh, we're going to, like, get you ready for the future in case, like, the worst thing happens, and, but of course, It
never goes well.
It never goes well.
Well, sometimes it goes fine, I guess. Like, there are vaults where, like, I believe they're called control vaults. I'm using quotation fingers. Our listeners can't see it. But they're like, where they were like, okay, we won't do any experiments here just to see what the difference is with the other vaults that we actually fuck with people are. Mm-hmm. So, it's weird. And I love how, like, they're all, like, buried deep within, like, weird places. Some of them, like, they're under, like, office buildings and all this other shit. And they're cool, man. It's always really interesting. Or like the big vault in Fallout 4 is, like, they just... hey, what happens if we just cryogenically freeze everybody and just what do we do then? Why not? Fuck it. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right.
Well, I think that's it for us, isn't it?
That's all I got. Yeah.
Okay. time to move on to listeners. Again, I'm going to go ahead and start off with Facebook, so I don't forget, because I'm thinking about it right now. We got another one from Adam Bradbury, that's how he communicates with us. Hello, Adam.
Excellent.
And I really like this one. It's only one, but it's really fun.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, he says, my stage select may not count as a corporation. I like the Drebin group from Metal Gear Solid 4, a group of gun launderers that made up the economy of that game. Drebin 893 was a funny and mysterious character. The ID-tagged guns world of MGS4 that necessitates gun laundering is cool. You know something good was coming when you saw Drebin's armored truck in-game or in a cutscene. Also, his smoking narc soda drinking monkey was pretty funny, too. My first thought was the narc soda for the stage select, but I thought that was even less of a corporation, so I think this is a way to get a bit of a double answer. I forgot that there was more than one Drebin. I just remember Drebin, 893. I know that, a lot of people, really hate that part of Metal Gear Solid 4. I fucking loved it. I love that character. I love his voice actor. And I love the concept, even though I hate monkeys and primates in every form, I kind of like the idea of a diapers-wearing monkey that drinks Coke all the time.
I was going to say, I thought the monkey was cool. I thought that character was pretty cool. He was a snazzy dresser, man. He just showed up in a suit. That guy was awesome.
And I love every time that you would beat one of the beauties, he would tell you their tragic backstory. Yeah. And it was always really cool.
Right.
Love Metal Gear Solid 4.
It's a good game, Julian. It's a really good game.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good pick.
It's fun. That's a fun one. I would not have thought of that, but
exactly. I think it's cool though. So I guess we're moving over to Pixelbit then?
We are, yes.
All right. I'll take the first one here, which I believe is Transmet 2033.
Yes.
And he says, obviously Altor, just because I like the name. And then I have written here, from Saints Row or Red Faction. He doesn't specify, but we already said Altor they are throughout games.
Yeah.
So there you go. After that, he has Transtar from Prey in 2017. So they're the guys that did stuff on the plane and, or the spaceship. It's a plane. It's a space plane. That's what I'm calling spaceships from now on.
That one sounds like a Chinese knockoff of Transformers, that that you would see on back in the day. I don't. That's a silly name.
It sounds like the name of a Chevy. The
Chevy Transtar.
Man, I could see it. I'd drive that.
I'd drive a 1977 Chevy Transtar.
Yeah, dude, it sounds just like that. I'm just saying. Then he also has the Union Aerospace Corporation.
I just got it. Because I was like, dude, you didn't put the name of the game. I don't know who that is. I know who that is now. I feel stupid.
I had to look it up because I'm unfamiliar with that game, but it's from Doom.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, of course. Yes.
I've never seen it spelled. I've never seen it written out. I've only seen it as UAC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the picks. Not bad picks. Very good picks.
Very good picks.
I like them.
Yes. All right. Well, moving right along, we have San Andreas. Number 3 is Interstell Corporation from Starflight, a game that I have never played. I think that was PC. That's probably why.
Yeah, I think it is. I know I've seen it on some modding stuff, but I've never played it either. So.
Yeah. He says, the premise was that Interstell provided you with a spaceship, but it was somehow not a government-backed enterprise, despite the fact that you'd think the government of Arth would make space exploration a number 1 priority, especially when the game's main conflict was revealed shortly after starting it. Interstell claimed it was too poor to provide anything beyond a bare-bones ship, so you were expected to earn the money to both upgrade your ship beyond a basic model and train your entire crew through mining, trading, and recommending colony worlds. Still, they were probably one of the least evil video game corporations. I want a game like that. I want a modern game like that. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
The closest I've gotten to playing anything like that was Armada on the Dreamcast, which is basically if you took a souped up version of Asteroids as far as the way the game plays, but it's also an RPG.
Okay.
But there wasn't enough of the RPG element. There was really only one hub world that you could go to. But the whole upgrading your ships and everything was really cool, and it just played really well. But it didn't have that diplomatic part of it or anything like that. And I want all of that. That'd be awesome.
There's a lot of games like that on PC that have all the stuff. Some would say too much stuff.
Yeah.
That tends to be overcomplicated. But yeah, that sounds cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm so unfamiliar with this game. I know I've seen it though. I know kind of what it looks like just from looking at modding stuff. But I can't remember. I couldn't tell you like what the game's about. But yeah, that's cool that they're it's a thing that they're probably one of the least evil video game corporations. That's it. That's quite the achievement because there are not very many corporations in video games that aren't evil to some extent. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, San Andreas' number 2 is Vault Tech.
Yep.
He says, Vault Tech is probably the most damning indictment of the military-industrial complex I've ever seen in a video game. Vault 112 and Vault 87 were some of the most messed up places I've ever seen in video games. The Fallout Bible and the Penny Arcade comic One Man and a Crate of Puppets had a lot of other messed up Vault experiments. I'm pretty sure I would have signed up for Vault 69. Nice. No special reason. Vault 69 just sounds like a cool place where nothing messed up could possibly ever happen, and a decent place to while away 20 years while waiting for the Earth to become habitable again. Also because everybody gets everybody is satisfied. He says, see, I'm not even quoting Family Guy this time. Oh, is that supposed to? Oh, I missed out. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
I didn't see it either, but yeah. But yeah, man, I'd have to look up what Vault 112 are. I can't remember. That's always the thing is I can't remember the numbers of the vaults. But I know like there's one I'm thinking of where it's from 3, I believe. And you go in and like, there's this guy, who like everybody just keeps saying his name. Like it's insane. Like it's like, it goes like survival horror in it. Like, This guy just keeps calling out some dude's name because like he's like the like center of the spear experiment or something, but all the guys think that they're him. It's weird. I don't know. I can't remember what vault that is. I'd have to go look it up, and we don't have time right now. But so let's move on.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
Number 1 is Shinra Electric Power Company. San Andreas says, when I think of evil megacorps, Shinra comes to mind immediately. They were really more evil than Sephiroth himself was. They created him, and they did all kinds of horrible things in the name of pleasing their shareholders, like ugly medical experiments and manufacturing weapons of mass destruction. And although Shinra's certain inspiration was TEPCO, the ubiquitous Japanese utility company, at the time FF7 came out, there was also increasing concerns in the United States about and growing legal action against 2 American megacorporations, Microsoft and Walmart, over unfair business practices, and in Walmart's case, careless expansions left rural regions in the U.S. economically devastated when the stores were shut down after underperforming. Final Fantasy VII was the perfect game for its time period theme-wise. I think it's actually even more perfect now. It was a little bit ahead of its time when you think about it.
Right.
Here's my thing about Shinra. I think maybe part of this is just like the bad translation, but they're a poorly defined evil corporation, and I don't think a lot of what they do makes any sense. Because it's kind of weird where they have a military, but it's supposed to be kind of secret, but it's not. And then it seems like they don't know how to actually like use the energy that they're getting, as far as like it seems like they kind of fell into it in a way. Again, I think a lot of this just has to do with like,
yeah,
it's poorly defined, and maybe the remakes will do a better job of kind of defining what their purpose is. Because in the original Final Fantasy VII, they kind of remind me of the bad guys in the Captain Planet cartoons. Because those guys, like, it was never about money for those guys. They just wanted to like fuck up the planet, and it's like, but why? Like, you're not getting anything out of it.
I just imagine Shinra with like an old 90s printer just printing out sheets of paper for no reason.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. That's what their deal was. I'm trying to think here. Okay, I think
I defer to you. You are the Final Fantasy VII
I'm
expert.
going to try to think this out. I'm not sure if I can defend them either, because you're right. They always have been kind of poorly defined to some extent. I don't think they're corporation or their military stuff has ever been a secret. I don't think, but at the same time, I don't think that world has like a military. I almost want to say they're like, they kind of already rule the world and they're just trying to like, make money. Like they have like at least 2 towns, like at least, and then they kind of move into these other places and just sort of take over. Like they fucked up Coral. That was a thing that they did.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was thinking of, because like the way that they fuck up Coral is kind of like it's suppressed. So I got the impression that like it's not known that they conduct like military operations. Like it's supposed to just be like their security, but really it's also like this quasi-military force that is just, I don't know. It, again, just a lot of weird things that aren't properly explained in vanilla Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I think they're just like basically power hungry and trying to, I almost want to say their goal was like to save the planet as well, but they're just fucking really bad at it. I'm not really 100% sure. I could be totally wrong there. Yeah, you're right. It's never really greatly defined. Like, the Coral reactor gets abandoned because, like, basically all it gets out is huge materia, which doesn't really help them, although that's what they use in the big cannon to help them with that whole deal. Yeah, no, it's very, God, I'd have to go back and fucking really study up and see what their exact plans were. Cause it's really, you're right. It's never really defined. And they're kind of making it up as they go a lot of the time. Like, because we need to stop Sephiroth because he's bad, but I don't know, maybe we help Sephiroth because Hojo's kind of he's the main one that I always like look up as like he was behind the scenes kind of doing all the really evil shit in that whole thing.
And then they're like, oh, well, Hojo left but he didn't. And then, I don't know.
It's confusing as hell. Yeah, I'm with you. I hope like a remake kind of defines that a little bit, even though they retcon something. Well, I'll get to this later. Something pissed me off recently with the Shinra Corporation. So, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not their fault. It makes them seem more evil, but
yeah, I got some shit to say, and Consumption Junction is all I gotta say.
I will stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Well, next up is going to be X-Ray, and if you want to grab that, Justin.
I will grab that, Julian. That sounded weird. I didn't want it to come out that way.
Grab that, Julian.
I will grab that. X-Ray says his number 3 is WarioWare Inc., which is a good one.
That is a good one.
How could you not love the company behind all those crazy minigames? Then Wario as a boss probably means that you could be completely incompetent and still have a job. It's almost like my job now. That sounds right. He seems like he runs a crazy but altogether fun company.
That one, I love that one.
Yeah.
It also makes me really want to pop WarioWare Touch back into my DS because it's been a while.
God, the WarioWare games are so much fun.
They are.
They're so stupid. They're great. Oh, he employs like a DJ guy. Oh, I love those games. I miss playing them. Yeah, I wish my stupid Game Boy worked because I don't even know where my old Game Boys are. They're probably broken. But anyway, good pick. I like it.
Yes.
Number 2. The Carrington Institute. This is the company responsible for the laptop gun in Perfect Dark. That alone deserves a great spot on here. It's basically the video game version of James Bond's MI6, so tons of crazy fun gadgets and a license to kill seems like a solid place to work. Yeah. Gun manufacturers.
I think I played like 10 minutes of Perfect Dark on the N64, and I played like, I think the first 2 levels of Perfect Dark 0, and then I actually got stuck. It was like one of the games that I bought with my Xbox 360, like, I think the month after it came out, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I put it down. I didn't know what to do. I just stopped.
Perfect Dark 0, not highly regarded amongst people.
It's real pretty, like, especially at the time. Like, it was a real nice looking game. Multiplayer was pretty fun, because back then, I had just gotten Xbox Live, so I was playing all of my games that had multiplayer, at least for a little bit, just to try it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't put a lot of time into Perfect Dark. I played GoldenEye and then always wanted to play Perfect Dark. I know I played it before. I know I've like went over to a friend's house and they had it and we played like multiplayer, but that's not like getting into the single player campaign stuff, which I've heard is like a really cool part of that game. And like going back and watching some of it is actually it's not bad. A lot of it doesn't look good nowadays because it's N64 and nothing from that system looks very good now. But yeah, it seems interesting. And yeah, that was the big thing with those games was, the weapon variety. Like they had a lot of like quirky ass weapons. Like he's talking about the laptop gun and stuff like that. They had a lot of cool stuff like that. That was their big selling point.
I will say just real quick as someone like I don't play a ton of shooters. But I really hated when they started making every shooter like, well, it's not realistic to hold a ton of guns, so you can only hold like 2 to 4. And it's like, no, just give me all the guns. I don't care.
That was Halo's doing. Halo started that. Yeah, you only get 2 guns. You have to drop another one to do that. Yeah. I'm with you. I wish a lot of that would go away. It doesn't matter. It's a video game. Just let us have all the guns. His number 1 is Aperture Science. And then he says, okay, so while this is definitely my favorite company in video games, it's probably the absolute last place I'd want to work. Let's just say that Cave Johnson isn't shy about doing human trials on whoever he finds himself around.
Xrian, thank you for mentioning Cave Johnson so I can put the lemon drop into this episode because it makes me happy.
All right, I've been thinking. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad. I don't want your damn lemons. What am I supposed to do with these? Demand to see life's manager. Make life rue the day it thought it could give Cave Johnson lemons. Do you know who I am? I'm the man who's going to burn your house down with the lemons. I'm going to get my engineers to invent a combustible lemon that burns your house down.
I was going to say, I know there's a thing that Julian enjoys about doing whenever that name is brought up, so I'm glad it was brought up as well.
Yes. I do love Aperture, though. I love the history of Aperture in Portal 2. Like, as you see its slow decline from this really positive, energetic think tank into just, like, the worst.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yep, those are great picks. I like all of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next up is Casey Curran. His number 3 is the Zerka Corporation from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. He says, unlike Umbrella or Cerberus, that would have been well, I don't think of Cerberus as a corporation. Anyway.
They kind of are.
I guess they were. I thought of them more as like a military organization.
I guess military corporation. I don't know. It's tough to find sometimes, but yeah.
I think actually they do have like a front facing like corporate side. That's how they generate the revenue for the military.
They also have a dude in a chair. That's what I associate with businesses. So yeah.
Yeah. You can't have a business without like a creepy dude sitting in a chair, not really doing a lot.
Yeah, a man in a chair. That's the head of the business. Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, unlike those two corporations, Zerka knows how to be deplorable without everyone knowing it, which is key to any evil corporation. Enslaving Wookiees, hiring mercenaries to hunt sand people, hijacking, restoring life to a planet to make a quick buck off of its resources. There's no low this company won't stoop to. You can even make a Zerka droid go insane when he realizes how many murders he aided the company with and starts killing everyone he sees.
Man, KOTOR is awesome.
Yeah, I still haven't played them much.
Oh man.
And I can't speak to later Resident Evil, but I really feel like early, like those first few Resident Evil games, like Umbrella is doing stuff behind the scenes. Like it's not really, if I remember correctly, like it's not known until the outbreak occurs. Like their whole thing was like actually really under the radar, and they were just like this legit pharmaceutical company that everybody loved. Or, loved as much. Yeah,
everybody worked for that. Like, most of the people in Raccoon City worked for them. And that was their whole thing. They had, like, a separate company that would secretly transport all their stuff, their bioweapons and stuff like that. Yeah, they kept it under the radar until the whole Raccoon City incident.
Yes.
And then that pretty much put them under. But it took a while because they still did business at other places. It just shut them down to the U.S.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zerka is they're pretty evil, man. I forgot all about these guys. KOTOR is some of the best Star Wars stuff, in my opinion, that is never canon and will never be canon, unfortunately, but it's really good.
Yeah.
I love the world of there's still a Jedi Council and stuff like that. I think it's really cool, everything that they did. And I really like those games. I've been watching somebody play through the second one recently, and also Square Roots was going through it and all that stuff too. And there's a lot of interesting stuff in 2. It's funny, they apparently they only made the second one in 8 months or something like that. That was one of the things about why that game's the way it is they were given such a small time frame to actually make the game.
Yeah.
That it just they're like, well, I don't know, slap it together, but we have all these good ideas, I guess. We'll fit them in somehow and make it work. But yeah, Zerka's cool. I forgot all about them until he brought them up, and I was like, oh, of course. Yeah, they were in everything. They were fucking up everybody's shit.
I almost picked one of the corporations, one of the manufacturers from Mass Effect, but it's been so long since I played the first one. I used to be able to name them all. Right. And now it's I can't really think of them as far as actually that's what I was going to do. Cause here's the thing is that I kept thinking about corporations and then, I would forget about them and I'd be like, wait, oh, and so I just forgot. I was never in a position to write them down. But the one that I was going to do for my number 3 was, whatever corporation is responsible for the colony in Mass Effect 1 where you fight the Thorian, which is that plant that takes over the entire colony and starts mind controlling them. Because it's real great. Even with all that shit going down, there's this one guy for the corporation that's no, but we got to save our assets. We really got to we need to think about the company. And it's dude, get the fuck out of here.
Man, I think the honorable mentions list that I have would have involved a bunch of the companies from Outer Worlds because those were great. And I think the reason I came up with this was actually when I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn because of the company in that. And I was like, oh man, these guys are so evil. They fucked up so hard. How did they do this? And I can't remember the name of the company now, but yeah, they were amazing.
All right, Casey's number 2 is Gadgetron Corporation from Ratchet & Clank, which I love. He says, thanks to them, you can summon a homicidal robot companion, throw a grenade that turns into a disco ball, forcing your enemy to dance, I think is what
I'm guessing
finishes.
Yes.
Yeah. Forcing your enemies to dance, then finish them off with a Gatling gun surrounded by rocket launchers. Enough said. God, I love Gadgetron. I love all the silly weapons in Ratchet & Clank.
Yeah, those are amazing. Man, I love those games. They're stupid, but in great ways. Just because of that. Yeah, and Gadgetron. Yeah, that's a perfect pick. God, that's good. I didn't even think about that.
I feel real bad because I loved Ratchet & Clank so much on the PlayStation 2, and then I just stopped. I didn't play any of the ones on the PlayStation 3.
I actually did the same thing, I think. I'm not sure. Me and Sam, my sister, she owned one of them because I think I bought her one because that's what I do because if you live with me, I'm going to try to get you into video games. It's just what I do. Mm-hmm. So I think I was like, hey, you like weird, dumb Disney games that aren't any good. How about you play this actual good game that's kind of like a Disney-ish game? And then she ended up loving it. So, it was because of all the quirky weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a great pick. I like that one a lot.
And then Casey's number 1 is Tom Nook's store from Animal Crossing. He builds you a house. You can pay it off whenever you want. Then builds you a bigger house you can pay off whenever you want. And all you need to do to pay it off is pick fruit and catch fish. I wish there was a company like this in real life. All right, now, Casey, I haven't played Animal Crossing, but everything I know about Tom Nook, the way that you're framing it seems way too innocent. From what I understand, Tom Nook is secretly one of the most evil motherfuckers in video games.
I have said this myself, and we had a good little Twitter conversation about this at some point, and I don't remember with who it was, but if you're out there listening to this, and I'm pretty sure you are, you remember, somebody I said that about Tom Nook. I was like, man, but Tom Nook's so evil though. Like he's basically like a loan shark. Like he basically, gives you his house and then like just keeps giving you loans, like even after you pay it off, like doesn't let you turn it down. And then I believe they brought up the point that like, yeah, but like, here's the thing. You don't actually have to pay it off though. It's not like you owe him money every single time. Like you can just not pay it and it'll be fine. And I was like, that's a fair point. I never thought of it that way.
But it's only fine because it's a Nintendo game. Mm-hmm. You know that deep down, like when you turn the power off on your Animal Crossing game, because you know how stuff happens when you're not playing. Because like that he's shaking down your poor little townsperson. And it's like you turn the game on and they're just like, really, really need to get some bells. Really need to get some bells.
Yeah, that's very true. And also you're not allowed to reset or Mr. Reset. Mr. Reset probably works for Tom Nook. I'm just saying.
They all do. That's the thing.
They probably all do.
Yeah. You think KK Slider's on your side? Wake up, people.
He just makes music though. I want to like him so much, Julian. Oh, anyway, after that, we have our buddy Superstep. He has as his number 3.
I gotta say real quick, he's one of the only people who commented about the new theme song, and he says that he digs it. I appreciate that.
Most of the people on Pixelbit did, I believe.
On Twitter, yeah. We didn't get as much as I was hoping.
Well, I know the very first thing on Pixelbit says, what do you mean you got a theme song? I don't hear it. And I was like, well, dude, it's right in the beginning of the episode. I don't know how you don't hear it. But then again, it's not like ingrained in people's heads yet that's the theme song because it's only been one episode. Yeah. So there you go.
But it will be.
It will be in your heads and you will accept it as a fact. But anyway, Superstep, his number 3, he says, Pizza Hut from Crazy Taxi. I'll allow it, I guess. Had their pan pizza recently, and I do really like that crust. Pizza was mediocre as all hell, though. I mean, that's Pizza Hut. What do you want?
Dude, I can't... It's funny, because you brought up Pizza Hut on Clickbait last week.
The whole thing. Yes.
And you guys were right. Pizza Hut in the 90s was fantastic, but then they changed the recipe, and I can't with their pan pizza anymore.
Okay, something must have happened, because I haven't had it in a long time.
Yeah.
This was a whole topic of discussion on my other podcast, Clickbait Update, where we were talking, there was a ranking of pizza places that occurred.
They changed their crust about, 13 to 15 years ago.
Okay.
And
that's what it was.
Yeah. I can only eat stuffed crust pizza from them now, because it's a totally different thing. Or thin, but I can't do the pan because it just tastes like shit to me now.
Yeah,
I used to love
really
them.
Good. Yeah, I used to love their pizza when I was a kid. That's what I brought up. I was like, man, I only have fond memories of Pizza Hut. And I don't understand because I've heard multiple people shit all over Pizza Hut, and I'm like, did something happen that I missed? And apparently, yes, something did happen. So this makes a lot of sense.
This is going to sound like the stupidest thing, but if I had the ability to time travel, I would go back to the 80s or 90s and I would do 2 things. I would go to Pizza Hut and sit down for lunch. Actually sit down in the Pizza Hut and have them bring me the pizza.
Right.
And then I would go to an arcade and I would just spend the rest of the day in the arcade.
Right.
That's what I would do.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Because those are 2 very important memories to me where it's I can close my eyes and I can actually hear and feel and even sometimes taste those memories.
Right.
But they're still just memories. And it's I would give anything to be able to just experience it firsthand again.
Right. Yeah. I was a kid back then, but yeah, I would love to go back into an arcade. I miss the old gold mine from the mall. I know a lot of other people had gold mines as well. That's why
I didn't know that they were a chain until I think last year because we had one at Highland Mall.
We made that discovery, I think, on this show.
Yeah.
We were like, this must be a chain because I had one too. Yeah. And I would love to go into one of those again, man. I miss those days. Or even we had a lot of them around here because it's a tourist town. And it's just a big tourist town. That's really where they make their money at. So we had a lot of arcades when that was a thing. And, a lot of really nice ones too, but they're not here anymore. That whole thing is, and if they are, it's just the ticket arcades, which aren't very
Dude.
good.
Okay. So like, I'm going to get into it in Consumption Junction about how I spent my vacation. But one thing is that, we went to an arcade, because the friend that came to visit me, she had been telling me how she loves pinball games. And I was like, oh, well, I got the place for you. We're going to go to Pinball's Arcade. But I hadn't been there in probably over a year. And so they switched to using all the machines are, card based now. You go and get a card at the front of the thing.
Yeah.
And so you no longer have that feeling of plunking a token into a machine, which takes a lot of the fun out of it for me.
I miss that too. Yeah.
And then also, any of the machines that give you tickets are now, they just go onto the card. And yeah, I know that it's like probably better for the environment because you're not printing all these paper tickets and everything, but it doesn't feel fun anymore. Like when you do skee ball and like that whole big thing of tickets comes out, it's like coiling around itself. The fact that you can't do that anymore just like hurts my heart.
Yeah, the first time you ever win one of those stupid spinny stop the light games and hit the jackpot on it. I don't know if anybody's ever hit the jackpot on those. Me and my dad used to sit in gold mine and play that because we were just bored, I guess. It was something to do. The first time you hit the jackpot on one of those and it's just a fountain of tickets that never ends, there is no better feeling in the world than sitting there and letting them unwind. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I miss that too.
Yeah.
But anyway, his number 2 here, we're moving on, is M-Store Kamurocho from the Yakuza series. And he says, it's just familiar and convenient, and they allow me to cook the heads of my enemies in their microwave, which is great customer service. And all I have to say about that is, what, Don Quixote not good enough for you?
Dude, Popo all the way. What are you talking about?
Right. I mean, there's a lot of good corporations in Yakuza. What, Wild Jackson not good enough for you either? Wild Jackson has my favorite name of the series, I think. I don't know. I think it's real, too. I think that's a real restaurant. Most of them are. There's like in...
I believe it.
I know in Judgment, okay, I'm sure you played this part. There's a part in Judgment where there's like this guy at a steakhouse or whatever, and the whole thing is like you talk to the dude outside and like the owner shows up and like you're going on about how good the steak is. That's a real place and a real guy.
I figured it had to be because he looked too real.
Yes, that is a real guy, and that is a flat out advertisement for that company, like straight up, which is like, super interesting.
That's simultaneously really cool and makes me feel really dirty.
Yeah. Don Quixote also, I believe, is a real store and all that stuff. I don't think M-Store Kamurocho is. So he picked the one probably that is not real.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But here's the thing is that like I actually don't mind product placement like that. Like a lot of people will say like, oh, like it's like so blatant and everything. But it's like, yeah, but it's like, I see 7-Elevens on every corner. So to me, it's weird if I don't see them. I mean, obviously, the only thing is that when they don't get enough licenses, right? Like, Superset mentioned Pizza Hut and Crazy Taxi, which it's no longer in there if you play newer versions of the game, which sucks. But KFC was in there as well. And
I remember that.
And so it's kind of weird when you have, like, Pizza Hut and KFC, but then, like, everything else is generic. Like I wish there were more of them, actually, instead of, know.
If you're going to do product placement, go all the way is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, Death Stranding certainly went all the way. Monster Energy Drink. Somebody should have put that for their corporation. Monster Energy Drink.
See, but that's the type that I don't like, where it's like, it's the one thing and it's so blatant. Like the fucking cup noodles stuff in Final Fantasy 15.
I don't know. They owned it so much that I learned to enjoy it. I found it so stupid. It was amazing. I don't know. I drink Monster anyway, so I didn't really care. I would drink it during the apocalypse. That's all I'm saying. His number 1.
That's also the reason why his pee is able to affect the BTs, by the way.
That sounds right. Well, it's good to know. I feel like when the Death Stranding inevitably comes, then I'll be ready for it.
Yes.
You're all allowed to use my pee to throw at ghosts.
Thank you for your donation.
You're welcome. His number 1 is the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil. Been enjoying my RE2 remake rental. Wow, people rent things still. And this is the only in-game corporation I really knew of long before actually playing a game. This one wins on pure name recognition. And very recognizable name.
Yeah.
Yes.
I still can't believe that I forgot it. Like, that should have been the first damn thing that I thought of.
That was like one of the first ones I thought of when I thought of this stage select. Was like, oh yeah, Umbrella, of course. That's a big one everybody will know. Oh man. But yep, I think we're moving on to Twitter. Am I right?
We are, and let's see if we can navigate this message minefield, because I didn't get around to like replying to stuff for a while because I was on vacation for a week.
Yes, I believe the first one is Mike Fallick. I could be wrong.
That's what I've got.
Okay.
All right. So Mike Fallick on Twitter at Big Little Weasel, friend of the show. Go check out Hack Thought Podcast. He says, favorite corporation? As a recovering Pokemon addict, I am tempted to say something from that, but I'm resisting. Instead, I'll say the caveman who sells stuff in Chrono Trigger. Cavemen's and women's am dumb, and that store was legit annoying and funny. It felt like the best way that trading with Cro-Magnon people would go.
It's also like the first corporation, if you really stop and think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been in that world. Like, that's, prehistoric times. Yeah, I like it.
That would be funny if, like, there was, like, if that shop ended up turning into something in the later time periods. Because there is a little bit of that where, there's, like...
Oh, yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
That would have been really good. Well, maybe in the Chrono Trigger sequel that'll happen.
Aw.
That was the response I was going for. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe our next person, I could be wrong, so please correct me if I am wrong. I believe it's Jeffka.
That's what I'm seeing.
All right, that's who I have as well. And he says his number one is Devon Corp. This company from Pokemon is truly impressive. They are instrumental in the plot and have some truly amazing tech. They can bring back long-dead fossils, Jurassic Park style. In the remake, they even prove the theory of multiple universes after a giant weapon fires and kills a bunch of... never mind, it's a long story. Needless to say, I think they're cool. That's fine. That's a good reason to put them on your list. I think they're cool. That's good. Excellent. I don't know anything about these guys. This must have been was this late Pokemon? I'm guessing late generation Pokemon?
I don't know. I didn't even know there were corporations in Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. There is. There totally is.
I know Team Rocket, and
Yeah. Team Rocket's kind of a corporation, I think. I
thought they were more of just like a mafia.
They might have some sort of corporate backing.
Mm.
You know what? Actually.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's Mishima Zaibatsu. They're the corporate backing.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. I forgot all about. Yeah, they're in it. They got hands in all the pockets.
Yeah,
that's how that's said. I think. I don't know. Anyway, his number two is GAD Science Incorporated. This is the company that made some of the best Mario games possible, directly developing the Poltergust for Luigi and helping out the Mario Bros. A ton in their RPG games. Also, he made Flood, which is spelled F-L-U-D-D. That's all I'm saying.
I just know him as the character from Luigi's Mansion. I didn't know that he was involved in other games. I was cool with him until you mentioned the Flood.
I had a feeling that was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he sounds okay. I mean, outside of that one thing that he did that wasn't very good, but other than that, sounds fine. As number three, he lists this as Nook Enterprises. I didn't know that was the name, but sure. You know what? Tom Nook gets a bad rap. Really? He helps you immediately off of the train. He gives you a house easily. He gives you a loan, sure, but there's not even interest on it. That's a big thing. On top of that, he's adorable. So to me, he's the best businessman of all time, contrary to popular opinion. Plus, Nook branches out a bit. Not only does he sell good houses with a ton of customization, but he also has a shop with tons of goodies at reasonable prices. Shop at Nook Inc. today.
Oh, Jeffka. Oh, you're so blinded. That's how it used to be, like with the mining towns and stuff like that, where the actual like company that you worked for also owned the town that you lived in, and like they didn't even pay you in U.S. dollars; they paid you in their own currency, so it wasn't even useful when you would leave.
God, that's a huge thing in the game I played a little while ago. Kentucky Route Zero. God, that's a huge part of that.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I'd also like to point out something that he talks about here because I find it hilarious. He said, okay, I'm just going to read it again. Not only does he sell good houses with a ton of customization, okay, all houses are customizable to some extent. Like, that's not really a selling point of a house. Like, you don't walk in, I should be getting into real estate and just start selling houses that way. Just walk people into a room and be like, and guys, didn't know if you knew this. You can paint the walls any color you want. I didn't know. I just want to put that out there.
Honestly, that is kind of a selling point now because that's kind of the thing about being able to buy a house. Although,
if you buy a house, that's exactly what I mean.
Well, but not all of them are that way. My friends, they bought a townhouse. Right, so they actually share a wall, and so they can do whatever they want inside, but they can't do shit on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Okay, all right. The outside of the house, that's a thing.
Yeah,
I don't really care. I don't decorate, so it's fine.
I want to decorate. I've got like all sorts of neat stuff to put on my walls, but I just don't see a point until I like find a place that I'm going to live at for more than a couple years.
Yeah, I just keep everything white. It's fine. White's a good color. It's very modern.
It goes with everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine. Why change it?
All right. Well, I think last on Twitter we have Blaine Faya on Twitter at Blaine Faya, whose number 3 is the Zerka Corporation from KOTOR. He says, it has its hands on every planet, and every time you interact with them, it's like, hey, we do bad things and you can join us or fight against us. To me, it's kind of funny because every time someone is doing something shady, they're like, what are you going to do about it? I'm with the Zerka Corporation. As if it's a get out of jail free card. Which most of the time, it is.
Yeah, I remember that part of it now. Yeah, if you're playing Dark Side and you just keep claiming your Zerka Corp, you get out of everything. It's pretty fun. Those games are good.
Number 2 is Shinra. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because I'm sure others have it, but they were so impactful on Youngblood that anytime a corporation did something bad in real life, I would think, goddamn Shinra.
He is right in that aspect though. Like when I was that age growing up, like I would associate all big corporations with Shinra. So like that is the thing that they did was like kind of make me go, oh, corporations are bad, aren't they?
Yeah.
That was the first game to make me realize that, I guess.
And number 1 is Tom Nook. Now before you all flip out on old Blano, just hear me out. This motherfucker made me learn about helping others and fiscal responsibility by selling and then upgrading with no choice given to me a house and forcing me to do meaningless chores for other people, also I could pay him back. Hey Nook, I'm good with a small single-story house with just enough room for a couple precious items. I don't need the remodel, man. Now I know he isn't a corporation or a business, but he owns a store and apparently has his hands in real estate, so to me it counts. All the endless hours I put into paying him back and me having to pretend I'm grateful for it will haunt me for a long time. Is my number 1 pick serious? Sort of. Does it count for this list? Probably not. But
yeah, it does.
I did hate that damn raccoon for a big portion of my childhood, so to me this validates everything I've said. I did not expect Tom Nook to be the hot button issue of this edition of State Select.
It's interesting. It's so interesting. And man, you were reading that, I thought of something. I was like, man, Tom Nook is not a businessman. Tom Nook is a businessman.
Yeah.
That's a Jay-Z quote.
Oh, okay.
Some people will get it.
Yeah.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Anyway.
I'm just going to put this out there. I don't think a lot of our listeners are going to get that. I just feel like a lot of our listeners are not cool enough for rap. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm probably just projecting.
I guess I'm the coolest person ever then.
Yeah.
I feel very cool in this moment. But yeah, no, I like that everybody picked Tom Nook. That's great.
Yeah.
People, and hey man, that game's coming out soon, the new one. People are very excited about it.
They are.
So have fun.
Yes.
I'll probably play it too. I'm not going to lie.
All right. Well, that means it is time for me to do the next stage select. And Justin,
Hey. Okay.
this one is for you, bud.
Okay.
We're going to do something a little different for the next stage select because I like it when we get creative.
Okay.
One of my favorite stage selects of last year was when we got together and made the next Final Fantasy game. I thought that came out really good. But what we're going to do for this next one is we're going to make the next WWE game, Justin.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
WrestleMania season is upon us. And I thought there was no better time to try to create a WWE game, since, we both were burned last year with 2K20. Holy crap.
Oh man, that game's bad.
Yeah. So I've broken it down into 6 categories and we're going to pick 3, but I'm going to give you first pick. So what I have is game mechanics. So that's like everything, controls and the way the game plays.
Okay.
Story.
Okay.
Graphics / art style. Audio / commentary. The creator wrestler mode. And the roster.
That's a lot of shit.
Well, we're each gonna take 3.
Oh, we're gonna take 3. Okay,
Yes.
I want gameplay super bad.
Okay.
I have an idea there that I have been waiting to unleash upon the world. So I want that.
Okay.
Okay. Are we doing this like schoolyard style?
You get to pick your 3 because this is a stage select for you.
Okay. I will take creative wrestler stuff. I have some stuff I want there. What were the other options again?
Story, graphics, audio / commentary, and roster.
Oh God, I don't care about the roster ever. I guess I'll take story as well. I mean, those are the big ones, unless you want story.
No, I actually really wanted graphics. Actually, these are the ones that I really wanted.
Okay, great.
Well, I kind of
Okay,
wanted. I did want game mechanics, but really, like for me, the big one was graphics and audio commentary.
Okay, great. If you want to contribute your own gameplay mechanics too, I would be interested. But I have an idea that I need to unleash upon the world because I have a good one.
Excellent.
So yes, okay. Now I'm excited for this.
Yeah, so that's what you and I are going to do for Stage Select. Listeners, for your Stage Select, just let us know what you would like to see in a wrestling game, even if you're not a fan of wrestling. Because the thing is, like, wrestling games used to be fun even if you didn't like wrestling, and then at some point it became only for the hardest of the hardcore wrestling fans, and even then, not that fun. So let us know what would it take for you to jump into a wrestling game. And also, in the theme or in accordance with that, it's time to bring back the video game cage match. It's been dormant long enough, and we have a humdinger to start the season off with. This one comes to us from Transmet 2033. We're going to pit in the steel cage Doom Eternal versus Animal Crossing. The new one is.
Oh God, they have commercials for it, and I forgot the name.
Hold on, I've got it written
new
down.
Animal Crossing.
I've got it written down here. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, let us know. This has been an interesting one, and I really want them to have some sort of weird crossover. I think that would be fantastic. Apparently, they're both on Twitter just having a nice back and forth, wishing each other luck, which is fantastic.
Yes.
I love that idea.
Okay, I have no idea where that went. That it
Animal
just
Crossing.
disappeared.
I could look it up too.
I keep wanting to say A New Leaf, but I think that's the old one.
That's an old one. Animal Crossing. It's New Horizons, I'm pretty sure.
That sounds right.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay.
No. March 2020. Yes, Animal Crossing New Horizons, that's it.
Okay. Yes.
Yep.
So Doom Eternal versus Animal Crossing New Horizons in the steel cage. And we're going to want your stage select picks and your video game cage match picks by 8:30 Central Time on March 20th, which is the day that both of those games come out, which is also pretty neat. So, yes,
that was neat, actually.
It's very neat. I will actually have just a little bit of time between getting home from work and recording the show to play some Doom Eternal because I've already got it pre-ordered and preloaded on my Xbox One, and I cannot wait.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
But that's going to do it for Stage Select. Thanks to everybody who submitted. It's time to jump on into Consumption Junction. All right, Justin, and I'm actually going to kick things off, which I normally don't do.
Okay.
I think I did it last time, but I'm really going to kick things off here because I got a lot to say, and it's because it was my birthday.
That's good.
Since the last time we recorded.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I was born on February 29th, 1980, which means that I turned 40 and 10
Nice.
on the 29th, and I had one of my best friends come to visit me, Blissy, who I had visited her in Boston last summer. We hung out with Mike Fallick for a little bit, and she came to see me for my birthday, and that was a lot of fun. We did a ton of shit, but I mean, specifically for my birthday, as I've said before, because this is actually the third leap year that I've had since Nerds Without Pants started, which is crazy to think about.
That is weird.
What I do, if listeners are newer to the show, I look up the Saturday morning cartoon lineup from the year that I was the age that I turned on leap year. So this would have been 10 years old, so 1990 Saturday morning cartoon lineup. And then I look through the lineup and pick out the cartoons that I remember watching, and then I watch them in order. So this year, in order, it was Alf Tales, followed up by Captain N the Game Master. Then The Real Ghostbusters, which technically by 1990, it was actually Slimer in The Real Ghostbusters, but I hated Slimer in The Real Ghostbusters. And they did play, I think, both of them back to back. It was like the old Ghostbusters and then Slimer were the new episodes. And I just didn't like it when they changed it to Slimer. They changed the art style too, and I think they changed Peter Venkman's voice. It was no longer the voice actor who played Garfield. So just a fail all the way across the board.
I vaguely remember the Ghostbusters cartoons. I remember watching them for sure, and I had a bunch of the toys too.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Ghostbusters was like the only thing to rival Ninja Turtles at that time period, as far as like market share.
Yeah, they had, I distinctly remember having, I don't remember which guy it was, but it was an action figure that like you squeezed, I think the legs or something, and their eyes bulged out.
I knew you were going to say that one.
Yeah, that was the one I always remember.
Yeah.
I had, it was awesome. Anyway, continue.
Yes, after that was Beetlejuice. And then what I was really excited about, because 1990 was the year that Ninja Turtles premiered on Saturday mornings, so I got to watch that for the first time since I was a child. Nice. And then last but not least, Alvin and the Chipmunks, which was on for a very long amount of time, because this is literally the third leap year that I've had Alvin on the lineup. So, gotta say, Captain N wasn't even a good cartoon back in the day, and it does not hold up at all.
I'm sure it doesn't, yeah.
Ghostbusters, still really good. Beetlejuice is solid. Ninja Turtles, extremely watchable. I ended up buying the entire series, and I'm probably going to watch them all because I know that, like, as a kid, I fell off at some point, and so there's a ton of those episodes I've never seen.
Right.
But I watched an episode from the first season. And I was like, this is still really good.
Yeah. I haven't watched Ninja Turtles since I was a kid, and I would totally love to watch that again. It's been so long.
Yeah.
That would be great.
It's also great when you realize that the voice of Leonardo, and I knew this at the time, but it just reminded me, it's like, oh, that's Master Miller from Metal Gear Solid 1, aka Liquid Snake.
That's right. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, I did that. Then went to the Sherwood Forest Fair because I got in for free because they were letting in leap year babies for free. It was the opening of their season. They're a Renaissance festival here, close to Austin. Okay. And then came back and went to the arcade, and I got to play for free because it was my birthday. It was a very good birthday.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, game-wise, I haven't really done much, but I did want to talk about when Blissy was here. She's a big fan of this show. She's a fan of Clickbait Update. And she's also gotten into No One Can Know About This because I told her about it, and she's actually she's on season 3 now. Like, she really enjoys it.
It's a great podcast.
It's so good. But as we were planning this visit, she said, I want to try some video games. And I was like, okay. And she was like, okay, because here's the thing. She's played some computer games. She's played stuff in the arcade a little bit. She's played pinball. She's never held a controller before in her life. And she was like, I can't handle stuff that has a lot of stuff going on at the same time.
Right.
And I'm worried about stuff where it's like I have to monitor a lot of things all at once. And also I've never used a controller before, so I don't, I'm going to be really bad at it. And I was like, okay.
Right.
And so I thought really hard about what games I would show someone who's never played like a console video game.
Yeah, that is a tough sell.
Yeah. We didn't get to around to all the stuff that I picked, but we did get to 3 of them. So the first thing that I had her play was the original Portal.
Okay.
My reasoning was, look, once you play this, you're going to know how to play a game in 3D. Because Portal, you can go as slow as you want. It's not really like a twitchy type game.
Yeah.
I was like, look, this stick always moves your character. This stick always moves your camera. And I think, I forgot. Yeah. I felt bad for her because she ended up feeling comfortable with just default look. She didn't invert like I do, and so I guess I can't really talk to her anymore because I know I'm the weird one, but inversion
you are a little bit.
Yeah. It's because I think of like pulling back on. I think of the stick as the character's head, and so I think about pulling back on their head to like move their eyes up. Anyway. Yeah,
that was like a classic thing. A lot of inverter people, that's what I'm going to call you from now on, inverter people do. That's the justification they make for it. And I totally get it.
It's not a justification. That's actually the scientific thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I get
people who don't invert think of the stick as the character's eyes. So they press up to look up and down to look down.
That's how I think I do. Yeah. And that's exactly how I envision it all the time. I remember the first time encountering inverted controls. I want to say it was Halo. I think they had that as the default. Could be wrong. But yeah, I never got used to it, never liked it, and I was happy to change it.
Yeah. So, and I was like, look, so you just got to worry about that. And then it's going to show you how to play the game. And then, I kind of like, 'cause before that, I was like, okay, look, here's all the buttons, here's how you hold it, basically just starting from scratch. And she took to it really well, really quickly. 'Cause I remember when my cousin David came to visit me, and he hadn't played video games in a long time, like I've said previously, and I showed him the Club on the Xbox 360, which is like a third-person shooter, and the whole time he was playing it, his character was staring at the ground because he couldn't figure out how to move and look at the same time. She got into that pretty quickly. At the beginning, she was definitely like only moving, and then she would stop and then look around and then move, but then without her even realizing it, at some point she was actually moving and looking at the same time. She was figuring out the puzzles really quickly. And she liked it, but it was interesting because she actually got frustrated with it, and it's kind of weird, and I didn't know, this might just be a Portal 1 thing, because I haven't played it since 2007 or whatever, or 2008.
Right.
It's very fiddly about where you place the portals. So sometimes it'll seem like you place it just right, but it doesn't let you through the portal because you get hung up on the geometry a little bit, and she found that very frustrating because she was doing what she needed to do, but it wasn't actually letting her go through the portal. I was like, oh, well, try just placing the portal again. And then she would be fine. And, but even so, it was only off by a little bit. And I don't remember the game being that precise.
Right.
So she only played maybe half of the tutorial levels. So I think she got through the first 11 stages. But again, she went through them. It's like she figured out real quickly how to play the game. I was very impressed. And then so then we ended up just, I'm sorry. So then the second game that I showed her was Diablo 3.
Okay.
Because I was like, look, there is going to be a lot of stuff on the screen. You don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Because the nice thing about Diablo 3 is that it can be as deep or as shallow as you want it to be. You can get real nitty gritty with the minutia of that game. You can just ignore it. I'm kind of in the middle where it's I don't spend a lot of time in the stats of my character. I just, if the numbers are all bigger, then that's what I equip, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And so she picked a wizard, and I was like, okay, look, when you start out, you just move with this stick, and you press the A button. That's all you got to do for a little bit. Yeah. And we play that for a little bit. It's okay, now you got a new ability. So now, when you want to, you can press this button, and it does this thing. She's like, cool. And then, real quick with the wizard, you get the Ray of Frost, which is just this beam that comes out, and it just as long as you hold on the button, it fires until she runs out of magic. Right. And she loved that. And she was like, okay, yeah, this is great. And then, so we were playing that for a little bit. Then I showed her, cause I couldn't not, showed her Final Fantasy X. Because I do think Final Fantasy X is like the game to start people with in that series for a few reasons.
Right.
One, it still looks really nice, even if you're playing it on a PlayStation 2. Like the characters look like people. It's a little difficult to ask somebody to play Final Fantasy VII on PS1 as their first outing in this day and age.
I agree.
It has voice acting, so you don't have to really worry about like reading a lot of text if you don't want to. And then also, it's completely turn-based. It's not active time battle.
Yes.
So you can take all the time in the world that you want to decide things. And I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
And so I was like, again, you're really just going to move with the stick. Like, there's no camera. And then everything else is when you're in the battles. And I was a little worried that she wasn't going to like it because she likes to be active, right? So she doesn't like just sitting and watching things. And I was like, well, for the opening parts of this game, it's a lot of sitting and watching because there's a lot of story set up for the first few hours of 10. But real quick, like I was showing her, okay, here's the battle screen, here's what you can do, and I was kind of walking her through it. But I was showing her, okay, you see that list of enemies there on the right. So if you can take out the enemy that's monster A that's going to attack next, if you get him out of the battle, then he doesn't get to go, and it goes to your next character. And so she picked up on that real quick, and so she was already, like, just within, like, 40 minutes, real good about, like, strategy and, like, figuring out, like, oh, I need to do this here, and that'll, like, let me do this there. Again, I was really impressed, but she didn't really, like, get into it, and I think it was just because she was kind of tired. We were doing a lot of stuff during the day, and she did say later on that she thinks she could get into it. It's just that, especially that time of evening, it just kind of wasn't what she was looking for. Yeah.
Final Fantasy games, especially, like, and I know exactly that feeling. You kind of have to be in a certain mood to get into them. Like, I'm like that with almost every RPG. There are times where I'm like, I've been wanting to play Dragon Quest for however long now, and I'm just not in the mood for an RPG. And if I go in and force myself through it, I'm not going to like it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be in the mood to play it. So I just don't do it. I have to be in that RPG ass mood. That's what, and if you're not in that, I totally can get how you would be like, I could see myself getting into this, but right when we were doing it, not my exact thing. Yeah, it totally makes sense to me.
Now, but here's the thing. After that, the day after that, she was like, can we play more Diablo? And I was like, yeah, we can play more Diablo. And I had to start over because, like, I was just signed in on my Xbox as a guest, and you can't save the game as a guest. I guess I could have created a new profile, but whatever. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
That game is so good about scaling things that I caught up to her in that second session, but she got to continue with her character. And it was funny because she was like, oh, those numbers do get bigger, don't they? And then there was a certain point where she got a sword, and she was like, oh, that's so awesome. And like, then I could see like the loot lust starting to like, manifest. And she was also getting really into the sound effects that the enemies make when they die. And like, she was just like kind of giggling real giddily when we would like blow through a bunch of enemies like real quickly. And we played it for like 3 hours, and it was getting to like midnight. And I was like, okay, we need to be up early tomorrow because we're going to San Antonio for the Alamo. So we kind of need to stop here. And she was like, I can kind of get why Justin does what he does now.
Yeah. That's what happens. And then I just end up not going. I was like, you know what? Sleep is for the weak. Let's just not sleep to death.
Exactly.
That's what I do sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's real bad. People always wonder how I get through games. And sometimes it's just because I forget to sleep. And then I will catch up on it. And then, I don't know, man. I'm fucked up. I'm a little weird.
And so I've actually been playing Diablo 3 since she left because I'm back on my bullshit, and I was like, you know what? Because she was playing Wizard, and I was like, I have a Wizard that's like level like 31. Let me just like play with her a little bit, and now she's level 60, and I'm going to take her to 70 because I am trying to eventually get that achievement for getting 6 classes to 70, and that'll be halfway there once I get her there, and I'm only 10 levels away at this point. And that's not with a lot of playtime. Oh, the game's so good.
It's a good game. So
that's not all though.
Okay.
On the last day of my vacation, I decided to do 2 things that I've never done before. I voted for one. Sadly, my pick dropped out of the race this week, Elizabeth Warren.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But I really believed in her. And then 2, I got a tattoo.
Yeah. You sure did.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, my mom would be so disappointed in me.
I'm sorry. She'll be okay with it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I kind of had been thinking about it for a couple years now, and but a lot of it was like I didn't know what was important enough to me to get, because like for me, like it's not that your tattoos have to like say anything or anything like that, but like for me, like I did want it to be something that's important to me, and it was really down to Optimus Prime or a Final Fantasy tattoo, and I went with the Final Fantasy tattoo. I found an artist in town that I really loved. Like I saw his art. It's like, he's the one. And sure enough, like he made a fantastic design for me. It's basically Mog from Final Fantasy VI's like promo art, but in his own style, leaning up against a very classic Final Fantasy crystal. And he went like, I almost didn't get the crystal, and I'm so glad that I did, because it is a work of art. Like I'll put a picture of it in the show art for this episode, because I think by the time that I'm done editing, I'll be able to take the I have like kind of like this like patch over it right now to let it heal, and I'll be able to take that off Sunday night so that I could take a picture of it. Yeah, it's amazing, and the funny thing is that it didn't hurt at all.
It's okay. It depends on like your level of pain tolerance and where you get it at. Where you got yours is a pretty good spot to like get a starter one. Yeah, like I would say, like
on my forearm,
like, it's not too bad there. Yeah, on your forearm. That's not too bad as long as you don't go down into like the wrist. Like that's where things start to get dicey for some people. Like I have stuff on my wrist, but it didn't really hurt. So. But I've heard other people like tell just horror stories about getting their wrist tattooed. So that's the whole thing. Like, I think the one spot where things got dicey on the tattoos that I have is like underneath the bicep, like where it starts to kind of like that kind of got a little dicey, but like everybody would talk about like how bad the elbow is. And I have stuff on my elbow and that didn't really bother me too bad. So yeah. But yeah, it's kind of just like, it like burns a little bit, but that's it. Like that's how I always thought it felt.
Like I really thought that I was bracing myself, and I was like, oh, like I could tell something was happening the whole time, but like it never really hurt, and it was never even really annoying. I was just like, okay, yeah, this is happening, and it's funny because I went with my friend Jenny, and she was like, they're like potato chips, you never get just one, and I'm already like. Yeah, I think I want to get a chocobo next to the Moogle and then a Bahamut that coils around my arm.
Yep, that sounds right.
Because
that sounds exactly right.
Mog's looking a little lonely here on my forearm, Justin.
That's how that works, Julian. I know that exact feeling, man. I've been wanting more for myself too, but I just haven't had the time or whatever to go and do it. No, I would like to ask, how long did yours take? Do you have a rough estimate? So
I was there for a little over 3 hours, but the actual tattoo time was about 2 because they were real understaffed, and he was having to get up and like man the front counter, and then he would like take smoke breaks and stuff. So that was a big thing when I was getting my tattoos, smoke breaks, because I'm a terrible smoker. But yeah, that's great. Mine, like some of mine took like an exorbitant amount of time, and when you start going in, like the longer it goes, that's when it starts to like actually hurt, because like after a while when you're going over stuff like the same areas over and over, that's when you're like, okay, I'm starting to notice this a little bit and it sucks. But that's like, you know, when you're doing like 7-8 hour tattoo sessions, which I have done before. I don't recommend people do that, but no, yeah, that's awesome. It looks great for that amount of time too. Like, yeah. And I can't like, Cause the way that he did the crystal is that like it's drawn on the outline, but all of the detail in the crystal is all shading. So like there are no black lines within the crystal, and it looks sparkly. Like it's awesome. It's beautiful. And I was like, I told him, I was like, you're my guy. Like you know, and I want, cause I'm, you know, there part of me is thinking about quitting Austin here in the next couple years, but I want to get a couple more pieces added to this from him. Before that happens, because man, like, and we really clicked, like, because he was like, I love doing stuff like this, but everybody just knows me as like a regular tattoo artist, and it's only been in the last few years that like geek stuff has started to become popular for tattoos, but my portfolio doesn't have a lot of that stuff, so I end up having to do a lot of just like basic stuff that I don't want to do. He said, this is the stuff that I really love, and I was like, because he was like real, I could tell like just doing the crystal was like a big like, he really got a kick out of that. He put a lot of care into it.
Oh yeah, if you give a tattoo artist something that they're really into and really want to do, like they get excited about it. I know, like I had that with a lot of mine, and that guy put a lot of care into my stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But that was the thing. So now if I go to get tattoos, I'm like, what did your last guy do? I'm like, I don't know. He's not alive anymore. So
yeah,
we'll
I will just give a shout out. His name is Fox Murphy, and he works at Atomic Tattoo in Pflugerville, Texas, in case you're ever in the area, or think you're going to be in the area and want to get some work done by him. He's amazing. Seriously, like he's got like these amazing Kingdom Hearts tattoos he's done. The one that sold me on him, on his Instagram was this amazing Batman the Animated Series, forearm tattoo where it was, Batman and the Joker with like their faces like half and half. Right. And I was like, okay, this is my guy. Like, you know, he's down with the geek stuff and he can do fantasy. Yeah. And I was like, this is the one to get, and couldn't be happier. I really was. One of the other worries I had about getting a tattoo was that the next day I would be like, oh shit, what did I do to myself? And it's like, no, I don't feel that at all. Like,
no, that's good.
Yeah.
If you get a good tattoo, you'll have that feeling. You'll be like, oh no, this is awesome. And then it'll slowly grow on you every time you see it. You're like, oh yeah, that's on me now. That's awesome. Like, yeah, it really is cool. Like I love that feeling.
Yeah. And then when I got home that night, I got to play the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. Right. And I want you to take point on this because I don't know anything about how you feel about this. I think you've already like gleaned some, impressions from me, but, I don't know anything about what you think about it.
Okay. I'll try it. All right. I know. All right. I'm going to say this. I'll compliment it up front. And I don't think it's all bad. I think it's fine, I guess. It looks really good. I think graphically it looks really good.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Like the technology involved in that.
Maybe too good.
Incredible.
Like maybe you shouldn't have spent this much time on it. Good.
I don't know, man. I mean, I guess if you're remaking a game like that with that much clout, you gotta do it right. And I mean, they spent the time doing it right, I guess.
But what if it didn't look quite as good, but it had the whole game on the disc?
Yeah. I mean, there's that. So my feelings exactly, like I said, it looks good. I think it looks really nice. I loved the very right at the start opening, like that was a really cool scene. There was the recreation of the shot from the like original cover art in there. That was really nice. But boy, you know, when I first started on this podcast as like a full-time member, I had a bit of a rant about a game called Kingdom Hearts, and this is exactly why I had that rant. And it's not to say, I'm not saying Kingdom Hearts is bad or anything. I'm really not. It's a game that I'm not the biggest fan of. Like, I'll just say that. I just don't like the way those games play, and I hate how Square has gone, hey, this is how our RPGs are now because Kingdom Hearts. That was why I said I wish that game didn't exist back in the day, because now everything is Kingdom Hearts, and I don't like Kingdom Hearts that much. I wish we could do different things, but boy, the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo sure plays like Kingdom Hearts. Like, I noticed it right away. I was like, boy, this is sure fucking Kingdom Hearts. I get it. Like, and it's not to say that it was bad. Like, I actually, like, enjoyed it for the most part. It didn't leave me like, holy shit, I can't wait to play the next part of this. It didn't leave me like with that impression exactly, which is what I wanted to have coming away from it. But it made me go, okay, when I get this game, I'm willing to give it the time of day, and I'm willing to like kind of let all the systems like, you know, maybe like grow on me a little bit. Sure. I'm not saying what I played was bad. I think it was fine. I think, I don't know, there's a lot of shit happening all the time. I know that, like, there was like one like Kotaku guy who was like, man, there's like way too much shit happening, and like people reamed this dude for it. Like, he was like, oh man,
dude.
And when I played it, I was like, I totally get what he was saying, and he wasn't saying that he couldn't get past it or didn't beat it, because I didn't have any problem with it, and I agree with him. There's a lot of shit going on in that game. Like, it's do this, but hey, do this too, and I was like, all right, it's whatever.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I did see people. It's Chris Kohler who he's one of the big guys in video game collecting. Like, if you ever follow him, he's like one of the dudes that knows everything about that stuff. And I saw that he was getting like raked over the coals, and I was getting worried because I was like, I'm going to be the only other person who feels this way. And I was going into this, I was like, this is going to be my Nier for this year. This is going to be the game that I don't like, that everybody's over the moon for, because everything else that I've seen, like, you're the only other person that I've heard have any type of like, not even negative, but just like mixed opinion. Everybody else that I've seen has been like losing their shit.
Yeah.
So I was getting increasingly excited for the remake leading up to this demo. I was like, man, everything I'm seeing is looking fantastic. Yeah. I can't wait to play this demo. And I finished the demo and I was like, I'm concerned again. I'm very concerned. There is way too much going on in the battles. And here's one of the big issues that I have, is that even regular enemies seem to take an inordinate amount of time to take down. You're just doing like piddly amounts of damage, and it just looks silly where it's like, all right, Barrett's using this machine gun arm and he's doing like 2 hit points and 4 hit points and 5 hit points, and yeah, they're happening very quickly, but it just feels like everybody is a damage sponge. And then that's super exacerbated when you get to the boss of this demo.
Oh yeah.
Which halfway through it, I was like, this isn't fun. I actually said that out loud. Now, I will say that, like, after it, I need to play it again because I do think that I was actually playing it wrong. Mm-hmm. But part of that is because there was so much shit on the screen and so much going on. And I was constantly, like, taking damage and not knowing why I was taking damage. Because actually, when you take damage, it's real easy to not notice it until they start chirping at you to, like, heal yourself. But the ATB gauge, which is in this game, that's tied into your items and healing. It was always running out. So it's like I could use an item, but then I couldn't do anything else. And then Barrett is the one that has the cure magic, but his gauge fills up at like a fourth of the speed of Cloud, which I don't remember from Final Fantasy VII. I know that like they had different speeds of how their gauges filled, but it didn't feel like it was that big of a discrepancy, because it was like you would get into a fight. It's like, Barrett, I need you to do shit, and you're still charging up, man. And it just felt off to me. Now, I will say, after I beat the boss, there was an enemy that I fought where it kind of started to click for me, where it's like, oh, I need to like be in this stance, and then I can do this. But the whole idea of like, we're going to do no damage until we stagger this enemy, and then we do massive damage. Like, that's how the game's going to be 60 hours. It's not because the game is going to be that big. It's because the battles are going to take for fucking ever.
You could be right. Yeah. So I didn't have too much trouble with the battle system. Like I said, it played a lot like Kingdom Hearts. Things I noticed was when I was playing as Barrett, if you held down the button, eventually it would end in some sort of like explosion shot, and that would be your main chunk of damage for him. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, I get it now. Like it actually started to click a lot for me during that boss fight. Like what I was supposed to be doing. Like I would like switch to Cloud, hit him for a bunch, switch back to Barrett, because I know that the Shinra robots by heart, because I played a lot of the original game. So I was like, lightning, just hit them with lightning. They don't like lightning.
I knew that too, but unfortunately, like, I couldn't waste the charge for the lightning because I needed to heal Cloud.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't have too much of a problem with it. I think part of the problem with it, and this is a weird thing, is I think that game is made to like you're going to take damage, like, but it's a game that makes you feel like I could get through this and not take damage, but you actually can't, which is, I don't know how to explain that super well, but do you know what I mean? So like you have a dodge mechanic, you have a block. Yeah. So it almost feels like it's a character action game. So it's like, oh, I could do this battle without taking any damage. But in reality, you actually are just going to take damage. Like, it's because it's like an RPG, and that makes it very off-putting to some extent, because I had that was my mental block in it. I was like, well, I feel like I shouldn't take any damage during these fights, but then again, I'm taking damage, and I don't know how I could have avoided taking damage there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But you're right, because there is a weird dichotomy, because like if you're in that Punisher stance, and also I hate the stance switching for Cloud, because there was something about it that felt wrong, and also I could never tell which stance I was in. But he has that move where it's like if you block an attack, then he automatically parries it. And so it does feel like you should be able to like mitigate all or most damage. But
yeah, exactly.
I did want to start my part out with this. Justin, what the actual fuck is with Japanese game developers deciding, yeah, we're just going to change what all these buttons do because fuck you. In what universe is it okay to use the triangle button as your interact and talk button in a role-playing game?
I don't know.
That is not cool.
I don't know. That's what they decided to do. I didn't have too much of a problem with that.
It's just a thing that I've been noticing more and more lately, and it's like it wasn't broke. Why are you trying to fix it? I don't know. Like if I can reconfigure the buttons in the main game, I'll be fine. But to me, it's like the obvious move is that you put like the command menu on triangle, and X is confirm and interact and talk, and then square is attack. But
yeah, who knows, man. Like I was saying, I'm not wholly negative on it. I think there's potential here. I think once I get more used to it, I might like really come around on it. And another opinion I heard was from Kat Bailey on Axe of the Blood God, and she played a lot more than this chunk. Mm-hmm. And she was like, that first boss fight is actually the hardest one, and it has so much going on. It's so like overwhelming, and you have so little items to actually do in anything. The later ones, once you have stuff, are actually not as bad, and it actually starts to like feel a little bit better. So I actually have some hope in that respect that like, okay, maybe this demo is just like, it's almost too small of a slice. It's enough to like let you know what the game's going to be like for the most part. But I'm kind of holding out that like, okay, I just need more is basically what it is. I need to like really click with the systems and get, in tune and see my other party members. I can't wait to play as Tifa. That's going to be fun. I would just want to punch things. That's going to be fun. But yeah, like also, okay. I need to bring another thing up because it's in the demo, and I'm going to spoil the demo. I don't really fucking care. It's a 20-year-old game or whatever. Get over it. This part really pissed me off. Okay. In the demo, did you notice that when you set the fucking bomb and the timer goes off, the bomb doesn't go off? Did you notice that? Because I sure did. You
mean when you set the bomb and then you fight the thing and the timer hasn't started?
No. When you leave the thing, the timer's going, and you have to make your escape like in the original. You're making your escape. You're going back up through the stuff, and you're getting out of there. It's way more dramatic in the demo, which I thought was cool, and I do like how horny Jessie is. That shit's amazing. She's funny. There's certain parts of that game where I'm actually like curious to see where this goes because like I really want Jessie and Cloud together now for life. But anyway, I know that won't happen. Anyway, okay, after you escape and timer hits 0, the bomb doesn't go off.
But the thing exploded.
No. At least this is what I observed. I could be very wrong. It explodes, but it's after the President Shinra and Heidegger press a button and have all their robots come out and make it explode.
I'll have to look at that again.
Do you see this retcon? Because I do, and it sort of pisses me off.
Oh, to make it not your fault.
Yeah, you didn't kill all those people. Shinra did. Yeah. And now I know the ultimate plan because I remember it from the original game. But fuck that. That's bullshit. Because the entire conceit of that whole thing is that, no, we're doing this for the greater good, but we're doing some fucked up shit and innocent people are dying. Like,
I don't think you have much to worry about there because what I've noticed from like stuff that's been released as far as trailers and stuff like that is it seems like they're going to make a bigger deal about that. No, you're responsible for a lot of people getting hurt and a lot of destruction, and you're not as good and noble as you think you are. Where in the original game, it's like, hey, like, I know that we did all this damage and everything and people got hurt, but whatever, where here I think there is going to be a little bit more accountability.
Well, I think in the original game, they don't quite have the time to let certain things marinate, if you will.
Well, that and also I don't think the script is there. Like they
also,
were
the translation also was not perfect.
And there's a lot of like very deep philosophical issues that are raised in that game for the time that that's what I'm looking forward to on this remake. I will say so. I want to start with the nice things. And I apologize to listeners in advance because I'm going to be nitpicking the shit out of this game for the entire year. Okay, because this is going to come up a lot. It's going to come up while we're playing it. It's going to come up at end of the year, game of the year stuff. Like it's going to come up a lot this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the game looks gorgeous.
Absolutely.
I like the potential to flesh out the story a little more. I love the fact that you get to see Heidegger and President Shinra at the beginning. I think Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, they work. Like I really like their personalities, and I like something that was mentioned on I think the 8-4 Play podcast that I was listening to today is that, and this wasn't really as explicit in the original PlayStation, but they're kind of forcing you to do all the fights because that's what they're paying you for. So they're like, there's some guys back there, you need to take care of them. We're going to go on ahead. It's like, okay, that's really cool. It also explains why they aren't helping you. That's not, you're there to do that. That's not what they're there to do. Here's the thing though. I'm going to be really worried about the way they handle Sephiroth in this game because Sephiroth over time has become one of the biggest villains in video games, and he has become larger than the game in some aspects to his detriment. So the thing is that in the original game, he evolves over the course of that story. At the beginning, he's just a really like capable soldier. And in Final Fantasy, like soldier is like a class of warrior, right?
Yes.
You can't start weaving in One-Winged Angel into the background music, and you can't have a fucking feather like appear like in clouds like him like imagining a feather and stuff like that in the opening moments of the game. I'm sorry, like that is not the way to do that. Like it takes away all of that evolution and it cheapens it. And because here's the thing is that, and I don't like this either, the intro movie in the demo is not the final game's intro movie. I watched the full intro movie, and there's a much bigger chunk of the intro that happens before you see Aerith.
Oh.
And it has One-Winged Angel all in that motherfucker. It's not explicit, but it is like you're like very just on the clouds.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And they're showing more of like Midgar and stuff. Like that's all fine and good, but you don't show that card, right? Like when you got to Sephiroth at the end of Final Fantasy VII and that music starts playing, it's like dude's got his own theme song.
That shit blew my mind when I was 13.
Yeah.
When there was actual like lyrics that came on. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then I beat him in one hit, but that's beside the point.
But if you've already heard refrains of it for the entirety of multiple games, it's like, no, it's nothing. And also to that point or to that end, I don't know how they did this, but they took an iconic soundtrack and they made it kind of fade into the background and not noticeable. To me, a lot of the music, like, so here's the thing is that I don't personally like the soundtrack of Final Fantasy VII in comparison to other games all that much, but I've since come to realize that a lot of that is just the way it sounds on the PlayStation 1. Yeah. If you do listen to orchestrations of that music, it sounds fantastic.
Right.
And they have orchestrated the soundtrack, but a lot of the pieces that I heard in the demo, they almost are, they're pieces basically of these music tracks. Like it doesn't even seem like the full compositions anymore. They kind of weave in bits and pieces of what was there before. And for me, like it was like super in the background. Like I was like, there's no oh no, there's the music. Oh, I hadn't even really noticed that it was here. Where in the, in the game originally, it's like the music is like so much of the tone of that game.
Also that's because there's no voice acting. So they kind of have to tone it down because of that. I guess that's the conceit you get when you add voice acting to a game like that.
But even when there was, but even when there wasn't like any other stuff going on, like when I was just like moving through the environment, I was like, this music, it doesn't feel iconic anymore. It just feels like background music, like every other video game today.
I guess I disagree with you because, at least on this front, because I actually found the soundtrack to be really good. But then again, that soundtrack is ingrained in my memory probably a lot more than it is yours.
Sure.
Like, and I don't mean that in any offensive way at all.
No, that's one thing I would like to point out is that I'm not very precious with Final Fantasy VII like a lot of people are. It's in the middle of the pack in my rankings of the mainline series.
I don't even fault you for it.
And it's not that I don't think it's a great game. It's just there's a lot that I think that personally I like a lot more. So I'm not coming at this with like this super nostalgia, like, oh, I can't believe they changed this or that. Other than the fact that I still feel that they could have just gone ahead and made a turn-based game and just sped it up a little bit, and it would have been amazing.
I think there was a way you could do turn-based combat and made it cool again.
Yeah.
I've said that when we talked about making a Final Fantasy game and made it actually cool and made it flow with the entire game.
Go look at Final Fantasy X too, folks. That's the way that you do a really good modern Final Fantasy battle system. Now you can in the options set it to turn-based, but it also basically makes it to where you don't really have to play much of the game.
It's not really turn-based because what it does is it just plays the game for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at.
And then you just you do the decisions that so it just makes it less button mashy, I guess. I don't know. It seems like a mode that they tacked on there that I don't really think is very needed or good. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm pretty open-minded about it. And I like I said, the sound on the soundtrack bit, those tracks are like ingrained in my memory. Like I had that soundtrack like on computers. I would download MIDI files of those songs. I know them in and out. So I noticed them like right away and thought they were really well done and really well orchestrated. And I enjoyed the shit out of them. And I noticed them a lot. I did notice like there was one like really harsh cut of the soundtrack when it had to switch to voice acting. I can't remember exactly where it was, but like the music just cut off like abruptly. I was like, ooh, that seemed a little rough of a cut there, but fine. But yeah, I don't know. And like I said, that Shinra thing, I swear, man. I know, I feel like that's what they're doing though, but you didn't actually do it. We blew it up because it's fine. Avalanche, see, they didn't actually blow anybody. No, fuck that. They blew people up. God damn it.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone. I don't know, man. That part, that really, I was like, oh, I don't like that at all. You motherfuckers need to stop this shit. Just let the bomb go off. That's how it went. Stick to the goddamn script.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that I've already come to grips with the fact that this isn't really a remake, because just it's not. They're remaking parts of the game, but when you start throwing in like summons into this part of the game, like you've vastly changed like the core mechanics of everything.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that I'm not going to enjoy it. I really am looking at this sort of like Final Fantasy Cross Yakuza, where it's going to be this like 40-ish hour like action RPG that takes place in the same location. And you're going to be doing like probably some pretty zany side quests for some people, in and around the Midgar slums. And that's fine. Like, yeah, it's not what I want. And as I was playing the demo, I was like, man, I really just feel like this doesn't need to exist. Or if it did, like I said, like, you scale back the ambition of the graphics and you just remake the game and, keep all the mechanics the same, just like update them to make them, less boring. Cause I will say that, playing Final Fantasy VII, it's a little slow if you play the original version. I did it last year. It's like, it's still fun, but I can understand people who didn't play it before being like, man, this is what you guys were raving about?
Yeah, it was a time and place type of thing, really.
And also, like you were saying, as far as like the Kingdom Hearts connection, so a lot of times when again, the reason I led with the tattoo thing is because like Final Fantasy is kind of important to me, guys. Yeah. It's tattooed on my body now. So it's not that I'm coming at this from like wanting to shit on it. And I'm not really shitting on it. I'm just going to be really critical of this. And the reason that I'm critical of this is because I look at it and I think about the future of Final Fantasy. Exactly. And it's like, okay, so we had Final Fantasy 15, which you just held down a button and you did shit. Now we have Final Fantasy VII where you hold down a button and do shit. And I don't know. I think Kingdom Hearts you actually mash. I don't think you actually hold down the button, but it's still.
I was mashing a lot.
Yeah.
I found in the demo here.
Well, you can do either. You can. I would mash just because I prefer the tactile feeling, because I do that in Diablo 3 also. Yeah. You can hold down the action button or the attack buttons, but I press them because I just like that feeling.
Well, with Cloud, I think it was like if you mashed the button, it did a quicker attack, but if you held the button, it would do an attack that attacked everybody or something like that. It did different things if you held the button, something like that. It was weird.
And so, I'm looking at this and it's like, all right, so I've really got to temper my expectations when they announce Final Fantasy 16, don't I? And it's weird because it's like, I start to think, are there people left in that company who can make role-playing games? And I know that there are. You got the team who did Bravely Default, the team who did Octopath Traveler. Yep. Obviously, the team who does Dragon Quest definitely still knows how to make a role-playing game. They've been making the same thing for years. But it makes me wonder, like, does Square Enix just not have the confidence that they can do that in a Final Fantasy game in this day and age?
I was going to say, I don't think it's that. I just think they've moved on, and that Final Fantasy to them is not that turn-based JRPG type thing. It is now is an action RPG like hybrid type thing. Like that's what it's going to be now. And it is unfortunate. I feel the same way because you're right. The teams you mentioned, like they make great turn-based RPGs. Like I would love if like the fucking Octopath Traveler team got a crack at like an actual Final Fantasy and like made that like just given budget to do all that stuff, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I think the type of RPGs, JRPGs that you and I like are now going to be smaller projects. Yeah. And I think that's just a thing we're going to have to live with, unfortunately.
I'm not even against them turning it into an action RPG, but if you're going to do it, do it. Right? Like make it feel good. Like I don't like this shit of, like I said, just doing piddly amounts of damage just because you're just basically like whiling away the time until you're able to stagger them, and then that's when like the real damage comes in. It's like it was fine for Final Fantasy 13 because those battles were almost like a puzzle. Where here it just feels like, all right, guys, like I guess this is a way to get game time out of it. Like, if you're gonna have me spend like 3 minutes on like a regular fight that would have taken me 30 seconds on the original game, I guess that's a way to get that 60-hour playtime out of this. Sure.
Right.
It's not fun.
And and like I said before, I'm not negative on this. Like I'm still looking forward to it.
I still can't wait, and I'm going to play the shit out of it when it comes out.
Me too. But that being said, like I need more than this. I'm not over the moon about it like I know a lot of people are. I'm cautious especially after it, because after I played it, I was like, I could see this being fine and me getting into it, but I could also see me really turning on this super hard after playing it for a few hours. It could go either way. I'm not sure. So, I came out of it middling, I guess.
Yeah. I'm really glad I'm glad that I had somebody to commiserate with about this, because I really felt like looking at Twitter and listening to podcasts this week, I was like, oh no, I'm going to be that poopy pants, aren't I? Like I'm going to be the only person who has any, and it's not even that I'm here to be like, oh, this is a piece of shit. But it's like, no, I've got some concerns.
I don't feel that way. Yeah, I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel like it's a piece of shit at all. I don't want people to think that I think that either. No, I think it's pretty good.
I had fun with the demo. I didn't feel like I wanted to play it again, but now that after I watched like the PlayStation Access video this week and listened to some stuff, I was like, I need to play it again because I do think that I did it wrong. But again, I think part of that is that, especially during that boss fight, it felt like way too much information happening all at once.
There's a lot happening. Yeah, it was a lot to take in for me as well. And I made it through that fight just fine.
Yeah, I didn't die. I didn't even have one character die in the fight. But I was near death multiple times in that fight. And I was like, this is really weird. And also, I'm going to nitpick the shit out of it. I don't like the fact that you've already got like 1,000 hit points when you start the game. Like,
that's weird.
I don't like that.
You should only. Yeah, I agree.
And I don't like that when you level up, it doesn't seem to matter. Like, it's not even like any. It's just like.
Yeah,
there's no fanfare or anything.
Change. Yeah, there's no fanfare when you win a battle either. I miss fanfare. Yeah. That's a big Final Fantasy staple to me, and now we don't really have that anymore, I guess.
Apparently all you get is Barrett doing a bit of the theme of the fanfare theme, and I don't like that.
I mean, it's fun to some degree, but yeah, I want more than that.
Yeah.
Come on.
At least do it like Final Fantasy XII, where when you beat a boss, it does it.
Yeah, there you go. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Or something. Give me something. But yeah.
All right, I think we should probably move on from the remake. That's all I've got. Okay. Because like I said, I've just been on my Diablo bullshit for the last few days.
Well, okay. I guess it's on me then. Well, before we go any further, Julian, we have a lot of fun here.
We do,
right? We do.
I was actually highly looking forward to recording tonight because I had so much to say.
Well, absolutely. But motherfucker, we got bills to pay.
Oh.
Yeah. What motherfuckers think theme songs pay for themselves? Nah, son.
That's true.
Nah. Listen.
Let's just say that like we can't afford to buy both consoles this year.
Nah. That's why I went out. I got some of that sponsorship. It's about something I'm very excited about. You ready for this shit, Julian?
My body is ready, Justin.
All right. Listen, Swift Acres Farm. Let's talk about it. All right. Hey, you need that, Julian, you need that eggplant? Swift Acres got you. You need that shit pickled? Hey, Swift Acres got you. Motherfucker, they got that corn. Motherfucker, they got that star fruit. What you want, a sandwich? Motherfucker, they got that bread too. Hey, come down, get yourself some tomatoes and some bok choy. Put it on that sandwich. Have yourself a good ass sandwich.
Why is Swift
that
Farm
shit.
so aggressive?
Listen. Hey. What? That sandwich too dry for you, Julian? Is that what I'm hearing right now?
Yeah.
2 words, motherfucker. Duck mayonnaise. They got that shit too. What is duck mayonnaise? It's mayonnaise made out of duck. I don't know what it is. Put it in your sandwich. Spread it around. It's thick and yellow and it's good for you. Eat that shit. What? Duck mayonnaise not extreme enough for you, Julian? Is that what I'm hearing right now? How about some void mayonnaise? Where does it come from? Magic chickens. What's it taste like? Poison. Don't worry about it. Shit's magic. All right? Stop by today. You get a free potato. And they will let you take a picture with Denise, the baby sheep. So, how can you beat that shit? You can't. Get your ass over to Swift Acres Farms today. Swift Acres Farms, they got that duck mayonnaise. That was the advertisement. They asked me to read it like that. I don't know.
It was very aggressive. But thank you to our sponsor, Swift Acre Farms. I'm glad that we have sponsorships because yes, this shit ain't cheap.
It sure ain't, Julian. It sure ain't.
I think I know what you're getting at, though.
Anyways, video games I played. I'm going to delay that one because I have it. I don't want to spoil it. But I think it does spoil it. But we'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Gran Blue Fantasy Versus is a game I played. I didn't play too much of it. I put like a few hours into it now. That's the new ArcSys fighting game that's out.
Based on a very popular Japanese mobile game series, which apparently is getting a full like action RPG release this year, and I think that's coming out here. Like, it's really weird that it's this really popular, like mega popular franchise that hasn't been in the West at all, but then all of a sudden we're getting console releases of it. I don't know. It's very bizarre.
It looks like the game that they made, ArcSys, like, it looks fantastic. It has, like, ArcSys magic all over it. Like, I don't know how they do what they do, but it looks great. It looks like a living anime. It is very much an anime fighter by the numbers. Like, I think if you've never played a fighting game before, this would be a good one to start with, because they have, like, you can do specials off of a button. Like, they put them on a button for you. Like, it's very much made to cater towards beginners. Like, I had it on a normal difficulty setting, and, like, I was to the point where I was fucking with the computer. I was like, this is normal? Like, I think I need to turn this up because they're not even like, I would sit there, like, I was trying to see like the special attacks and to do like the like hard special, like the big super specials you have to get below 30% health. So I'd have to sit there and let them attack. I was like, okay, any minute now they're going to attack me. They would just sit there and do nothing. I was like, what is happening here? Like, is this, do I have it on the wrong difficulty? This is weird. But, I don't know. It seems fine. Music's pretty decent. I like a few characters. There's like, there's one character I like named La Diva, and they're like this, I think, okay, so I had to look into this. They're transgender. Everyone refers, it's basically, so I don't want to offend anybody, but they look like they have a beard. They look, masculine, but everyone refers to them as her. And I was like, okay, interesting. And they're really cool. They're like a Zangief grappler. Yeah. Like straight up Zangief grappler, like big blonde. They were cool. Like I found them to be like super fun. Everyone else though, I think is like, and this isn't on Arxis at all, I don't think. I think what Arxis was given, they did pretty good with. I think just Gran Blue in general is a boring fucking franchise that I don't understand the appeal of, because those character designs range from like La Diva, who's pretty cool, to like Gran, who's the main character and seems fucking dirt boring. Like just nothing special about him at all. Like travels around with, get this, a girl who is probably magic with light blue hair and dresses in white. Does that sound familiar to you? Because that sounds like every fucking anime I've ever watched. Yeah, I don't really get the appeal of the franchise. There's like a little RPG mode in it. I haven't gotten too far into it because I can't stand the main characters at all. Like their voice acting is grating. Like it's like mobile gaming's like greatest hits. Yeah. Like, and yeah, I get it, but I like the fighting. Like it feels fine. Like I've been into like playing as Fairy. I think she has a pretty cool style. She has like a whip and can wrap people up in it and do things and bring them towards you. It's cool. But, so it's not bad. I'll have to put more time into it and get back to you, but it seems fine so far.
I will say like that the game, because the RPG that's coming out is called Gran Blue Fantasy Relink. This does look cool. Like the character designs, I think, look pretty neat in this game. But it seems more like you might not actually like the game, because I think it's more of like it's like one of those like kind of, it's almost like a Phantasy Star Online, where I think it's like you can play it by yourself, but you can also play online with like 3 other people to make a party. But it's not like an MMO. But it's got a lot of MMO tropes. So
I think my turnoff of the RPG mode was they were making me play as that character Gran or whatever. Yeah. And I was immediately like, God, fuck this kid, dude. Just fuck this guy. Like, I don't even know anything about him. I hate his guts. Like, I don't even want to know. He has like a little stupid dragon that's like, has that like, mobile games always have this where like if you play enough of them, you like start to see this trope all the time where there's like a little like mascot character that follows the main character around and has a real high pitched voice and gives you all the instructions like this, like they're Mickey Mouse or some bullshit. I fucking hate that. I hate that character, and that's in this game, and they're giving you the instructions on how to do things. I'm like, God, I hate everything about this right now. But like the other character designs other than him are pretty decent to cool. Like that's what I mean. Like, but like that's the bottom and that's the main character. So I can't get through the RPG mode because I have to play as this guy to get to anybody else. So I don't know. But the other game that I sunk like the majority of my time into was Stardew Valley. Before I
was going to say, I meant to mention this last episode because we were both gifted a copy by friend of the show, Xtrian. Okay. And yeah, like I did play it a little bit like before the last episode, but I just forgot to talk about it because I haven't put a lot of time into it. Mainly just because I'm not in the habit of like playing my Switch unless I'm like really playing my Switch. And I've also been just like really busy lately with getting ready for my vacation. I was working like a lot of extra hours like leading up to it, and then vacation happened, and then since then I've been working extra hours. So yeah, I want to hear more about it. It gave a good first impression. I think it's beautiful.
It's a really nice game.
I'm definitely very critical of pixel based art just because I think I've been there, done that. But I was like, this is really good pixel art. Like, this is like top tier pixel art. I'm a little worried just because it feels like a game a lot like Ark or Minecraft, where it's a build your own fun type of thing, where I want more of a guided experience. I was like, oh, this has this whole like building mechanic, and there's all of this like crafting stuff, and I don't know if this is really what I want to do, but
Okay, so I'm usually turned off by a lot of that type of stuff too. So let me. Also, I would like to say yes, thank you, X-Rated, for giving me a copy. That was
very
super
unexpected
awesome
and very cool.
I was really happy about that, and can't thank you from the bottom of my heart.
It also caused me to finally get off my butt and add my Nintendo ID to my new Switch, because that was a process. Because like,
I bet it was.
I think there's like 3 different logins for that, because Nintendo is Nintendo, and it's like, it's really annoying. But I have it sorted out now, so now I can actually buy games on my Switch Lite, because I couldn't before.
Right. So when I first started it up, I was immediately, I didn't like it when I first started it up. It took a little bit of getting into, and I think that's because, to me, that game is a game built upon fucking up. Like, there's a lot of times where I was like, oh, I fucked everything up here, and then learning from your mistakes, but it's kind of part of the satisfactory process of it, I think. So I liked it a lot. Basically, like, it's just like a game about like getting into your routine, and like, okay, gotta wake up in the morning, water my crops, go, then after I water my crops, I run into town, I talk to all the people, see what they want. If they don't want anything, go back, start expanding the farm a little bit until it gets to the point where you're just like, okay. Like, it starts out very small, which is very nice. Like, you're just like, okay, I have some crops, I'm gonna water them, I plant all my seeds, and then when the crops grow, I harvest those crops to get more money for next season and make more seeds. And then you're slowly expanding and getting all the stuff, and then eventually you're like, okay, I have no time in my day other than watering these fucking crops. What do I do about it? Like, because I can't engage in the rest of the game. So then you're like, okay, there's sprinklers. What if I automate this shit? So you just start like it. That's how it slowly expands. Like, you start out super small, and then you just like start thinking of ways of like, everything's built around how can I make what I need to do easier? And like, that part's, I don't know, there's something really addicting about that, like, that I got super hooked on.
Is there a point where all of a sudden you own the entire town, and then when people come to town, you give them a house, and then just say that they need to pay you back at some point, but you're real nice about it, and people are very divisive about how they think about you?
You do not become Tom Nook in Stardew Valley.
Seems like an opportunity missed.
No. Yeah, well, you can apparently build a cabin and have people that you know in real life come and work on your farm. I don't know exactly how it works, but I've seen like the place where you can build that. Right now, I have like a chicken coop. I have like a stable. We got some pigs. We got some sheep, and we got some cows, and we're making that cheese. We're making that mayonnaise.
Yeah, duck mayonnaise.
The duck mayonnaise, motherfucker. Come get yourself some.
I think I like the sound of void mayonnaise better, because I feel that I already have a void within me, and so I just need some mayonnaise to add to that.
So that's one of the things I really like about the game, right? Is it's a farming game, with I will say some light dating sim elements, very light. Like, you can go into town, you can learn more about the people if you give them presents and learn their likes and dislikes, which is kind of fun to do, because sometimes you give somebody a gift and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what were you they're like very open about hating whatever you gave them sometimes, which is fun. But like, it also has this real quirky element to it, because it's kind of set in a fantasy realm, and like you get like a void chicken, because what happens is a witch flies over your chicken coop and leaves you a void egg. So of course you hatch the void egg, and it starts out as like, I wonder if I can hatch this egg that they gave me. And sure enough, yeah, you can hatch the egg and it makes this evil black chicken, which is fucking awesome. And,
Sounds like a
you
Courage the Cowardly Dog episode.
It's insane. Like the level of quirky shit in it is just great. I love it. I like a lot of the characters. They actually have like some really dark topics. Like if you really start diving into it, like there's one girl in the game where you start to get to know her and you learn that she lives in a trailer with her alcoholic mother. And you're like, wow, I didn't expect this out of this nice farming game, but sure. And like, there's one guy who's like basically suicidal and shit. And you're like, hi, again, did not expect this out of my weird farming game. Okay. The only thing I don't like about the game, and like I said, this was a slow burn. When I first booted it up, I was like, I don't think this is for me. I'm not getting it. And then eventually like something clicked and I was like, now I must make all the money numbers go up. I must expand the farm. I must get this. I must keep expanding. This is how I have to go.
The numbers get bigger?
The money numbers do go up. Ooh. And you do level up. You do level up your farming skills and your fishing skills and all those skills, Julian. Do level that up. And you level up your heart meters with all the villagers, and you restore the community center.
My heart meter is so low.
Yeah. And there's even and okay, this is the part of the game that I don't really like it. There's combat in it, which I didn't expect. I'll be fully honest.
I had heard about that there was combat. I was actually really looking forward to that part of it.
Yeah. Well, you might like it. To me, it kind of plays like a discount top-down Zelda game. Mm-hmm. Like it's not awful, but to me it gets in the way of what I'm there to do, which is like, I need to get this stone, motherfucker. I need to get this gold ore because we need to make these sprinklers and shit. And like, now I'm like, but I gotta fight these goddamn slimes because they're in my way. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's a little clunky, and that might be a Switch thing, like, because you have to switch weapons. But eventually, like, I got used to like, okay, trigger, and then I can switch back, and that's way too complicated. But anyway, it's a part of the game that I'm not like fully sold on, but I don't think it's like altogether bad. It just feels like a little
tacked on.
I say tacked on, yeah, but it's fine. Like it's not overly offensive. And if you die in it, like you only lose like, I think sometimes you lose items out of your backpack, which most of the time it's not a big deal. One time they took all my stone because I accidentally carried it in there, and I was like, no, we're resetting this game because I'm not losing all my stone.
Real quick, while I'm thinking about it, have you ever played Reciteer on computer?
Reciteer? No. I have not.
You should check that game out because I think you would really dig it. It came out like 7 years ago or something, but it's you play this little anime girl who is opening up a shop in like a fantasy world, and basically you set the prices and you stock the shelves, and you're trying to outfit like adventurers like as they come into town. It's that type of thing. But then at night you can hire an adventurer and he'll go into dungeons. And then there is like some combat like Zelda style. It's not great, but it is pretty fun. And I like I said, I don't play a lot of stuff on the computer, but I put like 15-ish hours into that. And I've always wanted like a console port and never got it, but it's still really good. But it's called Reciteer. The main character's name is Recette, and then is her partner. So it's their names mashed together. Just look up like shop RPG on Steam, and I bet it pops up as the first one. But
I was gonna say there's a newer one that has a really similar concept. I think it's called like Moonlight.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Moonlighter on Xbox One. I didn't like it. It's a little bit too roguelike for my taste.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not into the roguelike stuff. So, but this one, like the combat is like you can go into the mines. Every 5 floors you go, it saves your progress. So it's not too bad. And like now it's to the point where I'm like kind of late game because I put like 100-something hours into this thing. Like I was super hooked on Stardew Valley. Like over the moon for it. I will not, just in case Julian goes into the game more, I'm not going to spoil who I married, but we have 2 lovely children. I wake up every day, I hug them and I kiss them, and then I go check on my wine cellar, and because gotta make that starfruit wine, it's a whole thing. but yeah, no, I really love that game. It's there's some dumb part of my brain that's just like, and they do it really well too, because the seasons, like every season has its different seeds. Certain things kind of reset every season. You get, like the only thing I wish like I had a mod for is like to make land stay tilled for a little bit longer. I wish there was a little bit more of a concrete time frame on how long your land stays tilled for. But like in the wintertime, you can't grow crops because obviously it's wintertime. So like, that's when I'm like, okay, for next year, how do we make everything work better? And like, I just spent like that entire season just like, okay, now I'm going to have this all automated. I'm going to wake up I don't have to deal with this anymore. It was like, it's really cool how that works. Like, I was like, it's just, there's something about it that's just like perfectly paced. And I love all the quirky stuff, like there's like a wizard in the game and shit. It's delightful.
Yeah.
It's a delightful little game. I wish I would have played it back in the day when it was more popular, but I totally get why people like this game now.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I had a feeling that you were going to really click with it. I just need to spend some more time with it, I think. But I've still got to work on those Yakuza games for review. But Diablo though.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay, I will say the numbers do get bigger, Julian, in Stardew Valley. They certainly
you make
do.
a compelling point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
Yeah.
Other than the Final Fantasy remake. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I guess we're going to get out of here a little bit early because that's all I've got as well. Next episode, like I said, I will have played a little bit of Doom Eternal by that point, so that'll be fun. It's so rare that we get to talk about like a new game like right when it comes out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I guess we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. Just a reminder that next week for the stage select, what I want from the listeners is just let us know what you would want from your dream wrestling game. And then for video game cage match, we have Doom Eternal squaring off against Animal Crossing, whatever the fuck, that new one.
New Horizons.
Yes. I do like all of the memes that are coming out of it, and it's really adorable.
Yeah.
And we're going to want those comments by 8:30 Central Time on March 20th. You can find us online. Travis? Justin, where can we find you on the internet?
You can follow me at Travis. No, I'm sorry. At Tyrone _
Great, now I gotta leave that in.
Yeah. That was the joke. And at Clickbait, my other podcast, at Clickbait Update.
Yes.
I don't know what we're doing for our next episode. I think it will involve Gwen Stefani, though. That's what our next episode of Clickbait Update will be about.
That's not bad. You can find me at Julian _ Titus. You can follow the show at NWPcast. And also, as far as submitting your comments, you can go to the show thread at pixelbit.com and go to the comments for episode 171. You can DM us at NWPcast, or you can go over to facebook.com/nerdswithoutpants podcast and message us there. Any of those avenues are open to you. Consider rating and reviewing the show and sharing it with people that you think might like it. We would appreciate it quite a bit. And as always, our theme song, Relax, and interstitial music, Moody Grooves and To the Max, are provided to us by Megan McDuffie. You can find her everywhere online. Just search for Megan McDuffie. She is an incredible musician, and we love her very much.
She sure is.
But that is going to do it for this episode of Nerds Without Pants. So for myself and Justin, thanks for listening, and keep it pantsless, internet. Goodbye. Nailed it!
You should definitely leave that in, too.
Left the weird cat thing to stall.
Business. Numbers.
Is this working?
Yes.
Yeah!